Summon Sign is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 18 of Summon Sign, Last Stand Media's weekly in-depth gaming discussion podcast. I am your host as always, Brad Ellison. Joining me this week is Dustin Furman, my boy. What's going on, dude?
What's up? I'm so happy to be back so soon. It feels like the way it should be.
I know.
You know, I want to be on the show as much as possible, but...
Is that true? Be careful what you wish for, dude. I
the
will
problem
ask
is,
you to be on the show a lot.
the thing is that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth took up so much time that I was like, I don't have anything else to talk about. And so now I'm kind of, moving and shaking, playing a bunch of different games. And I'm like,
okay.
I gotta get on Summon Sign more. So I'm happy to be back. And I'm happy for our guest here, but I'll let you intro him here.
Yes, joining us also is Khayl Adam from Push Square. How you doing, Khayl?
I'm very well. G'day, mates. Coming to you all the way from Australia, about as far away as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be here. I'm a new fan of Brad, and this is my new favorite podcast. So,
wow.
Yeah, I had to try and get involved once I saw it had been opened up a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're from Australia. When Brad was putting together scheduling this, he was like, "Hey, we're gonna have to do it later because of the time zone stuff. Can you do it at 5? Because it's about 5 p.m. my time." I was like, "Hey, I can do that, but tell Khayl he needs to move to a real country with normal time zones." Which, to be fair, you're the one that's actually really making the sacrifice here because it's like what?
7 a.m. for you?
7?
Yeah, so it's actually the future for me. It's 7 a.m. Tuesday. So, I mean, if you want to look at it, I feel like you guys need to catch up. Like, I'm sort of where time is, and you're on a lag, like a delay.
Right. Damn, dude.
But, we can argue about that all day long.
Sure. I think that's fair enough. Jeez, dude. Yeah, Khayl, it was interesting how this came together. You emailed Colin, I believe, or Micah, one of them, and asking about it. And Colin's like, I have nothing to do with that show. Brad does everything. So he just forwarded, or he tagged me in it or something like that. And I was like, oh, sure. I think you're the first person to write into us that I'm aware of that wanted to be on it. So I was like, yeah, sure. Why the hell not?
This is something I've discovered in the last year, is that if you just ask people, sometimes they say yes.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like a bit of a tangent. I reviewed Wo Long for Push Square. And my favorite reviewer currently is Skill Up, my good countryman, Shill Up. And yeah, I noticed he was reviewing it. He was reviewing it too. He didn't have anyone to play with, and I just shot my shot. We're Discord buddies now. Oh,
that's cool.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, what we all essentially do for a living is so interchangeable. Yeah, and it's all like-minded people. Everyone's nice. I'll freely admit to being.
I don't know about everyone's nice. I've met a few not so nice people in this industry. Believe me.
I should tell you that I've met no one in this industry because I live in Australia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Last year I got to travel to the UK to meet all the Hookshot team. So Push Square, if you didn't know, is 4 websites. It's like Nintendo Life, Pure Xbox, Time Attack, and Push Square. They have a huge staff day over in Manchester, and they were all the coolest people in the world. I've never been to a big gaming event, but I assume, and again, we can get into all this. It's everyone hates video game journalists. The ones I've met have been cool as shit. It's a weird time.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, there's cool people out there. There's lame people out there. Just like everything.
Yeah, I believe it.
So, yeah, man, it's cool to have you on. I'm glad to meet you and talk with you. So, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. All of that was just to say, last year on with Colin, I think I was in pure panic attack mode at this point. Perhaps you can relate, Brad. Being interviewed by Colin it's a fearsome thing. It's an imposing thing.
Yeah, kind of. I think I've been friends with Dustin for a while, and before I was friends with Dustin for a couple of years, I think, before I even met Colin or talked to Colin. So Dustin prepped me on everything and how things go. So I felt very ready and comfortable.
And to be clear, he's only been very polite and nice. He's a very nice
he's
man.
very polite and nice. Yeah.
He's just imposing to me. He has that sort of American that I find hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's just hard to read in general.
Okay.
He is a maniac, and we all know it. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. Dudes, last week, man, I had a cold, dude. Still recovering, man. Since last Tuesday night. Barely played anything, dude. It sucked. Dustin, remind me after our New York City thing, when you got sick.
Yeah.
It was my turn now, man. It is the worst. Getting sick sucks ass. I hate it.
Yeah, whatever I got in New York City, man, messed me up like pretty good. Luckily, Holly got it a little bit, but nowhere near as bad as me. But yeah, being sick, it's the worst when you're so sick that you can't even play games. You're like, that's supposed to be the lazy, I'm doing nothing thing. But sometimes even that, you're like, I just want to, watch stupid shit on YouTube and do like, I can barely do that.
That's what I was doing. Yeah, just watching dumb shit on YouTube, man.
What's your go-tos? This is something Colin and I talk about all the time. That's like, what's your oddly specific Brad go-to channels
or videos?
One Piece lore videos.
Oh, just that discussions like that guy Sai had on before. He's a big One Piece YouTuber, so I always check out his stuff. I don't know, dude. Like, I was watching like outdoor, like camping videos. Camping in this amount of like negative 20 degrees with a sleeping bag, and that's it. Shit like that is really fascinating to me.
Is it Outdoor Boys, the channel?
I have seen Outdoor Boys, yeah.
Yeah. That's the guy. It's like there's 30 feet of snow and I'm making myself a little cave, and describes it's like you gotta dig the cave down, but then you gotta turn left and then like left again because you don't want the wind getting in, So this is the kind of thing that either you got to be sick or blazed out of your mind, or just insanely weird. I've notoriously said Holly, she watches YouTube like someone who is blazed out of their mind all the time, but she is stone sober. I mean, she's pregnant right now, so she's especially sober. Right. But like, I'll go. I think Brad, the one time I went up to play Helldivers, and she was watching something like. I don't know. She likes to watch these guys like remodel houses and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I came down and she's watching a 30-minute video about Roman roads. I'm like, what? What are you doing?
They're incredible though. Like, I get it. They last. Like the roads here in Australia, they're full of potholes. Those Roman ones, 2,000 years old, not a brick out of place.
True. Yeah,
it's good stuff.
She's just very curious about everything. And I've made a joke of it now where she loves to Wikipedia things. So I was thinking last night, I had this theory. I was like, I was thinking about Frank Sinatra, as I do on a Sunday night. And I was thinking I was like, man, there's a lot of Frank Sinatra in Japanese media, whether it's the ending credits of Evangelion in the original version or Moon River in Bayonetta, stuff like that. And I'm like, is there some kind of connection between Frank Sinatra and Japan? And I said, hey, will you search this for me and give me a short oral report? She's like, yeah, I'm on it. And she found out Frank, one of the first, well, maybe not one of the first, but one of the first big artists to go to Japan post World War II.
Really?
And and was there. This was in like 1950s, so not even 10 years after the war. And so there is some kind of connection there. But anyway, I've hijacked this to talk about Frank Sinatra. But Brad, sorry to hear about you being sick. You said you're on the mend now.
Yes, I'm like 85% of the way there, I would say.
Okay.
I'm really annoyed because I was on such a good gym streak. I was going like 6 days a week, eating good. Then everything just came to a halt, dude. I'm just like, fuck. My gains, man, my stamina, it's all gone now.
Now, you had posted pictures about going to the Square Enix pop-up store. Mm-hmm. So you were slightly more sick then, and you were like, I gotta.
No, I actually feel like worse today because my allergies are combining with me right now. So it's just like extra fucking me up. But no, that day I felt really good. Really good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I wouldn't go there if I was like sick because I had to drive to LA and that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Dustin,
Khayl.
did you manage to
Oh, no,
get to
go ahead.
Artnia?
Go.
Oh, sorry, mate.
Go.
Did you get to Artnia in Tokyo, the Square Enix store?
Dustin, did
Oh.
you?
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
No, I thought about going to there, but I ended up not. I'm trying to remember what exact. Dude, it's so hard. If you can have 20 days in Tokyo and you can barely scratch the surface. I was surprised though, because overall there wasn't really a lot of Square Enix stuff.
Yes.
Overall, which that was one of the things I talked about with Genki, was just that Japan is like a gaming mecca in a lot of ways, but it's still it's not as mainstream.
Yeah.
Have you been over?
Yeah, I was very lucky. I actually lived in Tokyo for like 3.5 months.
Whoa.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah, I was the stupidest thing I ever did. I took out like a ruinous personal loan and just went, my life sucks. I'm going to move to Japan. And I just stayed until my money ran out. But I like towards the end, I was just broke, and I would wander the streets of Tokyo and just look at stuff. Like I would go to like the Sony headquarters in Ginza, and it's just a building. You know, there's nothing cool there. People go and like work in the office. But Artnia was a good pull. Everything's overpriced, but I mean, if you love your figures, I've never seen more in a single place. And they have like this crystal effect, you know, like through the whole. I don't know if there's videos of it. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, the figures, man. I mean, I brought back so many figures, and it's tough because I'm a moron who likes to keep all the boxes too. But it's just not possible. So I like threw away all these boxes. The one box though, I had my Misato from Evangelion. I was like, the box is coming back for Mommy Misato. She's gotta come with. So that was the one box that came along.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, in America, you call fans of anime gooners? Is that correct?
They can be.
Some of them are gooners. What I guess I mean that's
gooners, coomers. Like gooners just kind of took over coomers.
I prepared that one yesterday. I was thinking about that yesterday. That was a pre-planned little joke there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of gooners right now with Stellar Blade. Let me tell you, they're coming out in full force.
Gooning hard. Say, I've taken a step back from it all. It's a little too hot, not in the sexual sense. It's a little too spicy for me. Just the petition. Are you guys up on the petition to save free Stellar Blade?
Yeah, I'm like kind of out of the loop on a lot of this, like, but I did see a petition going around about it. So yes,
I mean, I don't understand how these petitions work, but last I checked, it was almost at 50,000, which is insane to me. I thought we're talking about a couple of hundred people here.
Right.
But it's a movement, apparently.
Yeah, it's complicated just because a lot of people are rallying behind it being a censorship related thing from Sony, which it's not actually confirmed that Sony censored the game, because it also could be that technically you could say the game was censored, just who did it. It could be that it was censored by Shift Up for a worldwide release instead of doing like different versions for different areas, but it's not really known right now. But yeah, dude, that petition, I feel bad laughing, but people are going and you can submit like video clips for the thing, and people are.
It's grim. It's really grim.
Dude, we should totally do one. Everyone from LSM do one.
Yeah.
Oh god,
that'd be awesome. Yeah, it has 50,827 signatures right now.
Jesus Christ,
that's a lot, man. Holy shit. All right.
So I said a lot of gooning going on.
A lot of gooning, yeah.
Just rampant.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta goon. All right. Let's see. Before we get into like the bulk of the show, also, please check us out on patreon.com/laststandmedia. If you like support us, head on over there. We'd appreciate it. Leave us a nice review. Podcast service that does help us grow. So thank you, all that good stuff. Dustin, are we still doing that that limited edition merch for the Chris and Colin? Or the Chris and Colin 2024?
That is over.
That's over?
So
Okay.
those, which, by the way, for everyone in the audience that bought those, thank you. We had overwhelming support of the Moriarty Raygun shirt. We will be doing more limited run shirts. Another shirt that isn't going to be limited run that may be relevant to this audience coming in the future in the works, but we'll have to wait and see about that.
Yes, that's right.
I like that tease. It's very exciting.
Yeah. Khayl, before I forget too, please, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit to the audience? Tell them about your history and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm a hold the tomatoes and the abuse till the end, please. But I'm a freelance video game reporter at pushsquare.com, that other great bastion of PlayStation coverage. I'm pretty new to this world. Like, I dabbled in all the things like a YouTube channel and podcasting for years, but I really sort of got a break at Push Square about a year and a half ago. I've written for IGN, Twinfinite, various sites, various different tiers. I see there as being various tiers in games media. But like Push Square for me was always the goal to get there. It's been my favorite website for a decade. And yeah, to get to work with Sammy Barker, who is the founder of Push Square, and again, in my mind, sort of the British Colin. He's obviously a very different man, but he's like this just PlayStation mind. You know, I actually just saw Sammy just covered the whole censorship thing on Push Square. Sorry, it must have been overnight. But yeah, you know, this is me. I live in this weird little PlayStation world, and I'm just trying to push out a little bit, explore these other spaces. You know, I really like what you guys have been doing. Again, I said to Colin, I think you guys have some of the most important. It's all video games, and it's not very important anyway. But like, as far as it goes, LSM is having some really important discussions, I think. I don't even know where some of them could go elsewhere. Like, you know, stuff like, you know, Jonathan Blow interview. I know he can be a prickly customer to some, or at least I've heard. I don't know anything about Jonathan Blow. But yeah, just a guy. In many ways, I really was just doing a normal job until I was like 30. I was working in a warehouse, listening to sacred symbols and Kind of Funny, and just always wanted to do this. I'm not even really a writer, which is kind of the weird thing. I dropped out of high school and university, you know, not even formally educated. I just read a lot, and and I guess have spent my lifetime playing video games, and that helps too.
Yeah, I think that's like more important. Like when I was writing reviews, I didn't go to school for anything for video games or anything like that. You just start and you start doing it, and you get better over time.
And the weird thing is like people still don't understand a lot of things. Like for example, I say that I'm a video game reporter these days because the connotation with journalist is that you're a Jason Schreier, right? You're like interviewing people, you're breaking news. Like, the reality is like most games media is reporting. Like, we look at what the other sites, what people in the industry are saying, and we report it, rewrite it for our own audience. And, you know, like, that's what most games journalists are. Like, they're not really breaking news. It's not like Gene Park is another exception. You know, like, these are traditional journalists, as it were, as it was. I don't know where that was going, but those are some words.
No, yeah, I get it. I was in the same boat. Like, I never considered myself a journalist either. If anything, I considered myself more of a critic of games, I'd say.
Yeah.
Reviewing was like my favorite thing to do.
Me too.
I was never like, journalist. I wasn't calling people up asking about shit like that or anything. I didn't do any of that shit.
I've been lucky that I've done some of that. Like, I did a lot of work with Creative Assembly. They're talk about them and Sort It Out, but that's my favorite video game developer. I've gotten to interview them and do stuff like that. But yeah, again, and then you got to add in the Australian aspect. Like, there is no E3 for me to go to. Was on at like
Or
3:30
us
in the
at this
morning.
point.
Yeah.
Well, that's true as well. But I mean, like we've got PAX Australia. Do you even know if have you ever heard of that?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that still was around. You know,
It
like I
is,
thought that was
and
done.
I went like 4 times, 5-6 years ago, and it is what it is. It's not that big. It's just they'd put it on for us to keep us happy, I guess, and that's all it is.
something, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be interesting living out there and doing game industry coverage, just because, like you said, there's not a lot coming out of there. But there's a few exceptions.
Yeah, I actually have a little. I know you like games, Brad. I'd love to spring
That's
a little
true.
game on you at some point, a little later. But there is a weird thing about
Whoa.
Australia that I'd like to put out there, and it's we do punch above our weight. The people that do make it through are incredibly good, like Skill Up, Alana Pierce. My personal favorite, you guys know Lance McDonald? He's like a
Yeah.
modder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was shocked to find he's Australian. Like he's just some, other dude. And yeah, I've got a couple of Australian indie games here. I was wondering if I were to throw an Australian indie game. Oh, maybe we do it the other way. If you can think of an American indie game, I hit you back with an Australian one, and we see whose list is stronger.
Oh, you mean like who's made more indie games, Australian or Americans?
Oh, just who's a better received? Who do we think?
Oh, it's probably
just in
Australian.
recent years. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, Team Cherry Australian?
Oh, yeah, that was going to be my number one.
I was going to say, I always thought they were like, oh yeah, no doubt, great.
They just got to release another game.
That's right.
That's
some century.
That's an Australian thing. Like my total coincidence, but my wife Erin, her cousin is a video game developer. He founded the company Witchbeam, and another game on my list, Unpacking, was their most recent game.
Yeah.
They won a BAFTA for that. But yeah, it's not. They've really like rush games out down here. Like it's just, they're happy to sit on it. It's a lot of Australia. The conversion rate is really good. You sell all these games to Americans, you get the money back. It's a lot more when we get it back in Australia.
That's awesome. All right, boys. Got some warm-up comments and questions before we get into what we're playing and all that stuff. First one is from Pen and Paint, wrote in. Which rapper voiced a character in Borderlands 3? Okay? I'm going to give you the options. A, Snoop Dogg. B, Ice-T. C, Ice Cube. D, 50 Cent.
I'm going to go C, Ice Cube.
Okay.
I'll go Ice-T just because.
Okay, well, it is Ice-T.
Dang, I knew it was one of the Ice Boys.
Yeah,
one of those two.
He voices Balex, a robot teddy bear NPC the Vault Hunters interact with during the main story.
Okay.
It's really interesting that people write in Borderlands questions for me to read on the show, because I don't like any Borderlands games. I haven't played
interesting.
many of them. So it's always funny when people write in Borderlands stuff about me. Keep it coming.
Feels pointed.
Right, yeah, Dustin, you're free to look at the rundown now.
Free to look at the rundown? Okay. Bringing it up.
Chase wrote in and just said, no one's playing Sandland, huh? Sad emoji face. No, not right now. Sandland looks great. I want to play Sandland, but as you know, there's just too many damn video games right now. And we are just playing what we can. I chose Stellar Blade because I was very excited for Stellar Blade, so I'm playing that right now. But Sandland seems cool. I do want to play more of it, or check it out, I should say.
I thought it looked kind of bad, honestly.
Here's the thing, Dustin. I played it last year at Summer Game Fest, and I was like, yeah, that was okay. It was fine.
Sure.
But then I saw I was getting like high-ass scores at places. I was like, whoa, dude. They must have done something to amp that game up.
Yeah, so it's sitting at a 73 on OpenCritic, which is a fair
that's
rating.
Fair. Yeah.
People people don't like games in the 7s, call it trash, but that doesn't mean it's trash. But
Right.
I checked out the demo for a little bit. It's not a game I'd spend $60 on based on that demo. But I'm not saying it seemed horrible. But I don't know. But I mean, it's so timely, unfortunately, with the passing of Akira Toriyama that I'm sure that's carrying some of the game that people are like, oh yeah, I want to check that out because they're thinking about him right now.
Oh yeah, totally. But Sandland one day.
I know you guys are invested, but I've been burned by so many anime games. I just I mean I didn't have to, but I did review Infinity Strash, The Adventures of
Dai. Yeah,
it's like the worst game I've played in recent years.
Damn. Yeah. I
mean, don't want to tar all anime games with that brush, but that was the most recent one that stuck out to me.
Weren't you play that, Dustin? You were kind of interested in it.
I mean, I was kind of interested until I came out. It came out and everyone said it was bad. Yeah. So I was like, well,
it's pretty bad.
I guess I'm good. I mean, like you were saying, Brad, there's so many games. It's like, I just, not that I don't want to pass on, you know, it's sometimes good to play a middling type game every once in a while, but not right now. And so I heard that the manga is supposed to be pretty decent. I know Holly was reading that at one point, but sad to tarnish. I guess, I mean, Dragon Quest isn't, they've had some poor spin-off games in the past, but still, that's a name that has some significance. But
that's true.
I was very confused. I was very
Matt the Outlaw wrote in, "Hey, Summon Sluts, what's the best shotgun in FPS history? For me, it's the one in the first ever Fear game, but everyone has a preference for delivering gory goodness. I think the shotgun in Fear 1 is one of the best shotguns also. I do agree with them 100%. I also think of Doom, like Doom 1, Doom 2, pump action shotgun, double barrel shotgun, both very good. What about you guys?
I'm going to have to say, I don't know if it's the best, but it's my favorite. It's the Halo 1 shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually thinking the exact same thing. That was going to be my answer to it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's the first time you get in the game, but that gun is so closely associated to the library level when the Flood show up. Spoilers.
Yeah.
The Flood show up at the library, and you get that shotgun, and man, it rips. And also that shotgun, too, in multiplayer, Halo 1 multiplayer.
Yeah,
10 out of 10.
Good. So good.
Dude.
So good.
What was it? It's the super shotgun in Doom, like Doom, that.
Yeah,
yeah. That's pretty badass too.
Yeah,
the
one in Resident Evil 2 where you get with Leon, where you like put parts on it. I forgot what it's called near the end though. That one's also, you like shoot it in the original one, and he like flies back a little when he shoots it. It's so good. All right. Jared R. wrote in, "Hey crew, just a little warm up for you. What's a book, movie, or other piece of media that you think would be ripe for a game adaptation? Give a short description of the scope. Example, indie, AA, AAA, etc. And gameplay. Maybe an FPS, Metroidvania would be, let's see, what the game would be. I think a Indu top-down RPG of the Lord of the Flies would be pretty cool. Just imagine having to build your camp and having to make the choices of how to either lead your band of stranded children on the island or perform more morally dubious actions to come out the lone survivor. Would love to hear your own ideas." So,
I like that idea.
TV spin-off or anything like that. What do we want to see made into a game, and what kind of game?
Let me think for a second. Khayl, why don't you, if you got one, go ahead.
Look. Again, this is going to be for no one in the audience, but my favorite book series is the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. Grimdark fantasy, if you will. I'd love to see like a grand strategy set in that world, but again, that's going to appeal to pretty much me.
I think there's someone listening who's going like, yes, there's at least one guy out there.
I mean, if the Total War series is hanging on, we're out there, you know?
Yeah.
We're keeping
We
strategy
exist.
games alive.
So the two that come to mind, I feel like aren't really good answers, but they're truly what I would want the most.
Mhm.
First one is some kind of Dune game, which I know there's like the Dune, there's like a Dune RTS game.
It's like a survival one or something.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
What is it called?
I don't know what a Dune game, like what my ideal Dune game would look like. Probably some kind of RPG, but yeah, something like that. I mean, that world is awesome, and Dune 2 was amazing. The other one, which is I also think kind of lame because we already have this game, is a Blade Runner game.
Oh
that
yeah.
maybe, and that's the thing. It's like, oh well, just play Cyberpunk. That's already kind of most of the way there. And that's always been kind of the thing when I play Cyberpunk. I'm like, man, I just want this to be a Blade Runner game more than I want it to be. And don't get me wrong, Cyberpunk is cool, but yeah, dude. Have you seen Blade Runner 2049, Brad? Or
Yeah. Oh
you guys
yeah.
seen
I
that?
love that movie.
Yeah. In the movies, I think.
Yeah. That movie's
That was
awesome.
that's the only movie I've ever gone to by myself.
Yeah,
that-
right.
Yeah, I'm not big on. I mean, I'm not. I guess I just always have people that want to go do something with me, and this was a night that I was like, man, it's gonna be leaving IMAX, and I got nothing to do. No one can go with me. I'm doing it, and I sat in the direct center, surrounded by random people. One of them was like this old guy that like kept asking me stuff during it, but it was amazing. But so yeah, maybe, and I know there's a Blade Runner game too. There's been a few different ones, but maybe like a Fallout style. I guess, yeah, it's just Cyberpunk, but Blade Runner. So again, not really that interesting.
Maybe something like a Heavy Rain investigative.
Oh.
What was the other David Cage newer? Again, it was already cyborgs
Detroit.
Yeah, like that. I feel like that's always a good fit for that kind of setting.
Right. Yeah, because I mean that's kind of the first. I mean, both of those movies are very investigative. I mean, the first one, during that theatrical cut that has the stupid narration and stuff like that was very much like trying to be cyberpunk noir type thing. So that could be it.
Yeah. I want a Pee Wee Herman action game like Devil May Cry.
All right. Slapstick or just totally straight, like he's killing dudes?
I think I want it totally straight.
Yes.
Like Pee Wee's Bad Day Out or something.
Yeah,
it's called.
Disturbing.
Yeah, just something funny to me about that. Being Pee Wee Herman doing like air juggling combos would be my kind of shit.
I'm thinking customizable outfits, kind of like Stellar Blade.
Absolutely, dude.
Maybe there's one too that's like a little sexy that you're like, what? You know?
Yeah,
not all of them, but maybe just one sexy.
Couple.
He's like wearing like the Borat swimsuit or something, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. And I just want a good Lord of the Rings game now from someone, please make
from
a good one.
Middle Earth and Friends.
Middle Earth,
yeah. Well, they're making that that like Animal Crossing one, I guess, which could be all right.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like Larian make a Lord of the Rings game or something. It's set in the Lord of the Rings universe.
That would be incredible.
Someone with some chops.
Did you ever play the Third Age, Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, hell yeah. The turn-based game? Absolutely.
Let's do more of that.
Yeah, that game was cool. The story was so dumb in it, I remember, because you were a fellowship following the actual fellowship and just like cleaning up their mess. It was a turn-based Lord of the Rings game, so it was cool.
I feel like that was one of the first times I was exposed to like a spin-off that wasn't, kind of great. Wasn't getting it. Like the game itself was good, but like, the lore, let's say, was a little out there.
Yeah, but it was a cool idea. I respect the hell out of that game.
Yes.
Speaking of games, I guess I respect. I'm really happy this game exists. Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Hero is out.
Oh.
The spiritual successor to Suikoden, all that good stuff. Khayl, you've been playing this. Please tell us about it.
Yeah, so I reviewed it for Push Square, Eiyuden Chronicles, 100 Heroes. It's a return to the classic JRPG inspired by all that good stuff. I'm very interested to talk to Dustin, actually, because I caught that last little bit. I think it was Sacred Symbols. You had some issues with the translation / localization. We can get into all that, but it's great, guys. I loved it. It was exactly what I was hoping for it. It is a true return to like that PS1, world, and like warts and all. They tell you at the start, like there's a dedication to all classic JRPG fans, and I thought it was interesting. They actually use that term, which has become slightly contentious if you have to write it on a website all the time. Some people like don't say JRPG anymore.
Right.
That's neither here nor there. Fantastic, really good. It's the combat is a little more hands off. If you aren't familiar with Suikoden, this is largely automated. A lot of honestly, I feel like I spent most of my time. You have these sort of like parameters, sort of like Final Fantasy XII's Gambit system, heal at 30%, that kind of thing. So largely what you're doing is just setting up these parameters, hitting auto battle and watching them play out. It's awesome. There really are 120 characters. They're all largely voiced in a way that impressed me. Just, I've not seen such a large cast. Sorry, Dustin, I just realized that there's something sitting in your seat back there.
Oh, that's Jim Ryan. Don't worry.
Oh,
He's just
Jim's hanging out.
That's our cutout of Jim Ryan. What's funny is, not to derail us, a lot of people on the comments don't know who that is. They're like, why is there that old guy? But that's like a very like Giga Chad image that we found of Jim.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, he just lives back there now. But yeah, don't worry about him. He's just watching.
Sorry, it just caught my eye. Perhaps he moved a little bit and it just really but no, so Eiyuden Chronicle, I gave it an 8 out of 10. That's a very strong score at Push Square. This is not IGN.com or, any of the larger outlets. The Push Square review scale is to be feared. Developers know this. They see it. An 8 is a very strong score. But I will say the warts are the there's just, and no spoilers, but there are 2 sections in the game. I was looking at a guide recently. They say there's 4, but I noticed 2 where you don't have a journal. You largely, and for these specific moments, you don't have map markers, and your only objective is to gather strength or recruit allies, and you just let loose in the world. And it really is like those old days where you just have to like pixel hunt, talk to every person in the town, and like, yeah, there's no journal. It doesn't tell you how many people you need to get. And it's like, I play these games. I was around for them. I was on the verge of emailing 505 Games, the publisher, and being like, is this broken? Am I an idiot? Can I not find enough people? Like, it was getting to the point where I was worried about my reviews. So yeah, that's not going to be for everyone. And then there's another one at the back half of the game, and it's even bigger. And quite frankly, if I hadn't been reviewing it, I probably would have fallen off, because I probably spent 10 hours in it, just wandering the world, talking to people. Wow. People will love that, or maybe they'll hate it. But everything else, like the music, the animation is out of control, like the pixel art. Yeah, the fact that they've brought back like the strategy battles, the jewels from Suikoden, that's all in there. Yeah, it's a big recommend for me, but sorry, that was a lot of words. You guys.
Yeah. So I haven't really played the Suikoden games, so I'm very unfamiliar with a lot of these elements. But Dustin, you have played Suikoden 1. You loved it. So I guess what really separates these types of games from other more traditional JRPGs, when I think about it in my mind, I think about it like obviously the huge cast of characters you can get and stuff like that. And I think there's like a town or a castle you have in these games, or some hub thing, right? That's a good big focus on it.
Yeah, I love that aspect. You get to you can name your castle from dozens of different ones. Mine was Brazengard, and nice. You like build it up. And I guess so. That's an interesting thing, Brad. Is of those 120 characters, I would say about 40 exist to like man shops in your town. Like one is the armorer. but they do cool stuff with it. Like there's like an oracle who will like sort of send you out in the world towards other characters that you're missing. The town really upgrades, like looks good, like there's a whole population mechanic that seems unnecessary, but yeah, no, it's that's sort of like your power curve too, because a lot of your upgrades and the way like you equip characters are locked behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that one thing that I would really that separates this from other JRPG series is how brutal the dungeons are. And there is an equip limit or like an item limit, which,
Mm-hmm.
so there's no 99 potions in this game. It's you have 30 slots and one slot might be 6 potions. It might also be a piece of armor. So you only ever have those 30 slots. I think you can increase it. But yeah, I'm blanking on his name, but the recently passed creator of this series as well, the Suikoden and Eiyuden, his whole philosophy was, yeah, brutal dungeons, like resource management. You need to, even on the normal difficulty, like this is a tough game. I was stuck multiple times. So yeah, that would be it for me. It's like it's a return to a less handholdy time. And again, I'm in the review period, so there were no guides for me to look up. Like I'm just flailing, pulling my hair out, trying to like progress in this game. But yeah, I'll be fascinated to know what you guys think. I think it's great.
Yeah. Dustin, do you have any comments or thoughts about it?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people let me know that. So I mentioned on Sacred for the audience that doesn't listen to that a listener had reached out to me and sent me, they had like an extra code from the Kickstarter. I don't know if they like got their own physical copy and they didn't need their Kickstarter code anymore. So when I downloaded it, it was like the day or two before release because I think Kickstarter backers got early access and it said beta on it, which I was like, I knew that going into it that there was like, okay, this might not be the final version. But when I started it, and I was like, did I skip a intro cutscene or something? Because it really threw me into the world to the point where I was wondering, was it there an intro that wasn't part of this beta, or and this is a good question for you. How important is that game that came out before? I'm trying to remember what it's called, but there was like that spin-off one that they put out beforehand.
Yeah. Well, I didn't play it. Okay. Yeah, from what I understand is there's like references. It's almost like the Trail series, Brad and Dustin. Like the yeah. There's some extra context, but it's not really directly tied, is my understanding.
Yeah. That's Eiyuden Chronicle Rising.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That was the 2D game. So yeah. But what's funny is when I was playing it, it was just a brief amount of time. My wife Holly was like, "Oh, this looks like Octopath Traveler. They're kind of copying that style." I was like, "Well, actually, the original Suikoden had a mix of pixel art and 3D background, so you could say that Octopath Traveler kind of stole the style from this game or the original." So
Oh, good. Oh, sorry, man. No, sorry. I'll say like I'm so excited to see what these guys do next. Because in my opinion, like the pixel art, the stuff they do, it leaves Octopath for dead. Like there's these duel sequences in this where like it's super basic. It's just like attack counter. There are moments in the story where it's just like a one-on-one fight. But like the sequences in between are wild. Like characters are like jumping around from chandelier to chandelier and like blasting off magic and it's also like I think they have like there's a point where there's like 60 or 70 different little character sprites on screen. And it's just that you don't see this sort of scale from, games like that where like maybe in the old school Final Fantasies, yeah, you'll have like 10, 12 little characters on screen. It's cool. It's modern, but like sticking to that old style.
Yeah, totally. Dylan Michael wrote in, "Hey Summoners, question about Eiyuden Chronicle. I keep hearing that the game is very loyal to its PS1 big brother, Suikoden, in good ways and bad ways. Are there any old school design decisions that make you frustrated? On the flip side, are there any you are enjoying and wish were in newer JRPGs? Thanks. P.S. Dustin is going to be a great father to Sora Furman.
Ah, you figured out the name.
Yeah, you guys got it.
It's revealed.
Beautiful.
Sora Furman is incoming.
It's Vanitas. That's the real name.
Congratulations, Dustin, on the upcoming birth of Chris Colin Dustin Furman. We're all
That's
very
right.
excited in the audience to watch this. I was mentioning to Brad, I'm a new gamer dad myself.
Oh, nice.
You were right. What you were saying on sacred symbols, like everyone does have their own experience, but it sounds like your wife is cool as shit. So is mine. I will say this though: if you're not in this world and you have a kid, you are pretty much done with playing video games. I think, like, it's so crazy. It's like if this is your job, you'll find the time. But
Right.
yeah, it's I had to be broken, Dustin. My body had to be broken and reforged over the past year, and I'm very, very excited to watch this happen to you in real time, sort of over the show.
Yeah, it'll be I'm excited for it. It's I don't know. There's some people are like, I didn't sleep for 6 months, and other people are like, all my baby did was sleep. So there's no preparing for it. There's just you just get thrown into it. And I'm like, cool. That's actually kind of easier for me to mentally just be like, okay, just roll with the punches. So
yeah, man.
If I could offer you 2 pieces of advice, and this is how you do it, young bucks. This is how you get in the good books. You earn them good boy points. If I could take one thing back, in the last 2 months of my wife's pregnancy, I was, obviously involved in everything, but I was a little too focused on trying to play games and being like, this is all going to change, and I need to get in my game time now. In hindsight, that was a bit of a mistake. I mean, it was fine. I just felt like a bit of a jerk afterwards. And now my wife can listen to this as an apology.
Yeah. I mean, there's no better apology than one said on a summon sign, a gaming conversation on Last Stand Media.
Yeah, I'm sorry you're listening to this.
Good boy points. And the other is, do you know what a snoo is?
Death by snoo? No, I don't know.
So a snoo, I believe it's American. It's a smart crib. It's a total yuppie idiot thing. In Australia, they're like $2,000, right?
Whoa.
What it does is you bring your baby home from the hospital, you straitjacket them in, it learns their rhythms and rocks them to sleep. It creates white noise. It's like the total yuppie. I swear to God, we bought this thing, put the baby in it. She slept every single night for the first 6 months. It was worth every single penny. And then I flipped it, sold it secondhand, and made all my back.
Oh, that's the way to do it. Dude, yeah,
so
you mentioned
highest recommendation of this item.
I'm looking at this now. You aren't kidding. The price range is $1,400 to $1,900 for this crib. So that is, but I mean, what is the price of sleep? No, I mean, that's pretty big. Yeah. But you mentioned you got to wrap up the baby. And I've known this for years, but I think it's so funny that it's like, oh yeah, this little being, he's so stupid that I got to wrap him up in order for him to not kill himself while he sleeps. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing, baby? What are you doing?
Yeah.
So, and now they get smart cribs and shit like that. I'm kind of into it. I mean, I love putting unnecessary technology where they're, but this sounds kind of cool. I'm going to look into this.
This was so controversial for us too, because again, everyone that's never had one of these hates you for it. And they just and older parents, they don't want to hear about it. They think it's stupid. But this was, if I'm remembering correctly, this was designed by a pediatrician. It's flying colors. Kids can't do SIDS. Do you guys call it SIDS? Yeah. Yeah. So they can't move. They can't get out. As they approach 6 months, the machine itself weans them off it. And it only lasts for 6 months because then the baby is too big. But yeah, highest recommendation. It's a little weird, admittedly, when you got to straight jacket your baby in and just leave him there in the machine. But
It really does look like a
highest-
straitjacket. I'm looking at a baby
Oh, it
right
is.
now in one, and he looks like he's like they're ready to ship him off to the insane asylum, like straight up.
That's what
but
that's what a sleep sack is, though. Like you send a baby to kindergarten, they go and they put them in a little sleep sack, and there's a lot of straitjacketing children. I think we should talk about it more.
yeah, let's do that. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. So
Yeah.
anyway,
No,
The question?
what were we talking about?
Oh,
The
yeah,
question.
sorry.
Oh yeah.
So we talked about this a little bit. Old school design decisions in the game that make you frustrated. And on the flip side, is there any old school design decisions that you liked that you would like in more modern JRPGs?
Yeah, the lack of direction thing. Like I liked what they were doing with that. I think that would have been more appreciated not in a review environment. It's like one of those strange things where you're like, this is not, there's no out leveling this, there's no brute forcing this. You just literally have to follow, just do what it wants you to do. I think, I've been a little bit spoiled with I'm a big RPG guy like you guys. I've been very spoiled with this like boost combat thing. I think Eiyuden Chronicle could use something like that. Like, yes, combat is snappy and automated, but it would be nice to be able to speed it up a little bit.
Totally.
And yeah, as for things they do, this pixel art and like the action they use it, I think more JRPGs, classic style RPGs could use. But yeah, I'm actually just more excited about Rabbit and Bear, the developer, to see where they've already said they'll do a sequel. So yeah, I just can't imagine what they're going to do with this. I hope they're successful because it already like blows most. This was a Kickstarter project. It looks incredible. Like it looks better than a lot of games it's competing against. Yeah, hopefully we don't have to wait another like 6 years or whatever it's been. It hasn't been that long. I'm out of my mind.
I mean, I'm still waiting for a new Bloodstained, and it's like I feel like that game came out forever ago.
Yeah, right.
Where is that game?
Now, I wanted to ask you, we touched on it earlier, but the main thing that was very obvious to me in the short amount of time, and something that doesn't get fixed in a beta, like in a Gen 1 or a version 1 or whatever, is the localization stuff. And that was kind of a big... I was even looking... I'm looking at the Steam page, and the reviews are pretty good overall on Steam, but the negative ones all talk about the localization. Yeah. So did you feel like because I laid out the one of the main examples that I found online, and do you feel like that was indicative of the rest of the game or just kind of some cherry picked ones that people chose to blow up online?
Yeah, I think it was, in my opinion, it might have been cherry picked. I believe that was the character Lian, who is like, she's like your Chie, right? She's like a bubbly martial artist. She's your best friend. She's with you from the game. And again, I don't want to sound like an idiot, but I'm not 100% up on like the ins and outs of localization and translation. But yeah, she seems a little bit extra. She has like a catchphrase that is, yup, kind of thing, and that's pretty annoying. But I don't know. I think she might be the worst offender, certainly, because my favorite character in the game is a kangaroo man named Garu.
Cool.
And I think he might literally be the best Australian character I've ever seen in a video game. And it sounds crazy because he's literally a big kangaroo man, and he has a little baby that a little daughter that hops around with him. But the accent is perfect. The like style of masculinity that he is exactly, he's like Steve Irwin. It's like that's where I live. I live in the Steve Irwin area of Australia. So I don't know. In that regard, yeah, I'd love to know what the localization was because I can't believe this character wasn't written by an Australian or someone, or had some kind of advisement. But yeah, Lian is pretty rough. It can be annoying as hell.
Yeah.
Dustin's gonna hate her.
Yeah.
Dustin always hates some character like that. It's so funny. I can always tell what character Dustin's gonna hate now when I play something.
And here's what it is. She decides that you're like her junior partner. She calls you kiddo, and your character calls her boss. And that's like the interaction, the whole game. It's like, hey, kiddo. Yep. All right, boss. But that's
is she like goofy,
honestly,
dude? Yup.
a little bit. A little bit. There's like the character my wife loved. And again, there's tiers. So there's like let's say the 12 main heroes that are super central to the plot, right? Then there's like another 20 or 30 who you can use in combat, but are less central. And then, then there's like the really weird characters that have nothing to do with the plot, a lot less lines, but can be used in combat. And then finally, you've sort of got your like NPC level heroes, right?
Mhm.
That first tier is really good, and I would even suggest the second tier. Like I found the voice acting to be great. Oh yeah, but sorry, my wife picked out this character Malore, whose whole thing is that she's a magical girl. Again, perhaps in Guna communities you understand what a magical girl is, but I had to learn this is like Sailor Moon. And she's awesome. Like that's her whole thing. It's like love and justice, and all her special attacks are like it's like Sailor Moon, and it's just that's
Yeah.
one character. And then yeah, there's my favorite Kangaroo Man. There's like a super, there's like a samurai chick, and anyway, I really liked it. I thought it was good. So I'd like to see more examples of this, I guess, because yeah, that character is certainly the most annoying in the game, and it seems like that's who it was talking about.
Got it. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, I want to check it out. I just like, well, I'm curious. We'll talk about Stellar Blade in a little bit. I have no idea how long this game is going to take me. I feel like I'm making really good pace through it, and then, but I also got to beat Chrono Trigger. So we'll see. But that's one that I'm at, especially now that there's no barrier. I don't have to buy it. Not that that's really that big of a barrier for me usually, but it's like almost like no excuse to check it out.
Yeah. I mean, I think like obviously, Brad. I think you'll be into it. I think you might too, Dustin. It's just how much that stuff really sticks with you. But yeah, like you guys play a shed load of JRPGs. I think you'd really like this one.
Cool. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right. It's time. Stellar Blade. It's finally out now. We talked about it last week. Gene went in depth with it because he reviewed it at the Washington Post. So you can check out his review there. But I've been playing it. Dustin, you've been playing it. Khayl, have you played any of this?
I actually, just over the weekend, I fired up the demo so I'd have some context, but I haven't had a chance, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only played like 3.5 hours because I was sick most of the time it's been out. Dustin, I assume you've played more than me.
Probably.
So, let's start with you, man. Dustin, what are you thinking about the game? Especially with the changes like to the combat, the parry timing and all that stuff. I know you're very sensitive about parry feels and all that.
Yeah, I put myself at such risk talking about parry timings because it's immediately considered a skill issue. But Stellar Blade, yeah, I'm out here with the Gooners, with the Edgers, and everyone in between playing Stellar Blade, and I've put I should have checked my hour count, but I feel like I've made a pretty decent progress into the game, and my feelings on it have kind of been up and down on it. Well, I guess down and up overall, because I really felt like the first few hours of this game were actually kind of boring in that I was trying to figure out, because I knew the game opened up more as you played it. And I'm like, man, this kind of linear intro section is kind of long, and it's a weird, not a weird mix, but it is a mix of a lot of different games. Clearly, like obviously the main inspiration behind this game in terms of its overall aesthetics and style and feeling is Nier Automata, and the creator of the game and Shift Up hasn't hidden that at all. In that, from Eve's design, obviously there's a lot of 2B, and the world being like this, decrepit post apocalyptic situation, and the music, it has one of the same composers doing the music, so it very much feels in that way like a Nier game. And even in some of the ways that you feel, particularly in the more open sections where you're running around and doing different stuff, it definitely reminds me of a Nier game. But then in terms of the combat, it is definitely more Souls inspired in a lot of ways, and even down to some like specific mechanics where obviously there's the perfect parry, specifically perfect parry, but it also adds like perfect dodges. And then one of the main things that the characters that you fight in the game, they'll like glow a certain color, and so depending on what color, they do this glow thing, and then you have to respond in a certain way. So when there's a blue orb around them, your sword glows blue, and then you have to dash towards them. So it's very Mikiri counter-esque from Sekiro.
Right.
There's one where you have to dodge backwards, and that does a special move as well. So the combat's been cool in that they've done a really good job in terms of opening it up more and more to you as you play the game, in that you initially, like when you start the game, you don't have the gun, like the drone that follows you around. You can eventually use it as a gun in combat, which is pretty cool. And then later you unlock like a special power mode. I'll just say that. Very much like Final Fantasy 16, where you press the left and right stick, and then you engage like this like super overpowered
like
mode.
Devil Trigger.
Yes, yeah, like Devil Trigger. So that's in there as well, and they don't necessarily dump all these things on you all at once. They kind of let you, get a feel for the combat in steps, which I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess if we want to get into the parry timing stuff, this one is really racking my brain to figure this out, and I'm hoping, Brad, that maybe you have some thoughts or insight in general with this. Is that Sekiro is my first real like parry focused game, where I, for the most part, when I would play games that had parry mechanics, I didn't normally even use it. Like even in Dark Souls or stuff like that, I never really used the parry. I was more focused on dodging. And then Bloodborne was kind of my main introduction into we'll just say games with this type of combat style overall. So it was really tough for me when I went from Bloodborne, Bloodborne to Dark Souls, and then to Dark Souls 3, and then into Sekiro, because I was trying to dodge constantly, and that's not the way you're supposed to play that game. And so I had a tough time figuring out that parry mechanic, and then eventually it clicked in my brain, and it was still really, really tough game, but I eventually got through it, and then loved it so much that I got the platinum, and now, I mean, I don't want to say this full confidence. I probably could beat Sekiro in like 2 or 3 sittings now if I really put my mind to it.
Yeah, nice.
So that like what's the word I'm looking for? Where it's like it's engraved in my brain exactly how the parry should feel for Sekiro. Yeah. So when I go to these newer games that also focus heavily on parry mechanics, specifically Lies of P, and now this game, I'm having a really tough time getting the feel for the parry mechanic specifically. And I think that both Lies of P and this game have the same type of thing where you almost need to parry slightly before the move comes in, where Sekiro is very much on the attack. You got to do it. This one, it's like a little bit before. And I've even done the thing like there's an upgrade for your skill tree that makes the parry mechanic easier. There's like a different thing that you can equip that also makes it easier. And I put those on, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm not able to parry at all, because if you're not able to, you're going to have a really rough time on some of these bosses.
Yeah.
So I've got it down to a degree, but I feel like it just doesn't feel like it should. And I've been trying to figure out whether this is clearly it's not a problem with the game, because many people have no problems with it at all. So it comes down to a preference thing for me. But yeah, both, and it's funny too with it being Lies of P as well. These are both South Korean developers making their own types of Dark Souls style, Sekiro style combat games, and they both include this. I guess you could say it's like a animation priority, which I know that there was the update that made it easier. Like there was like a little bit of input delay or something, but the animation priority where it's like, okay, it takes a second for Eve to raise up her weapon before she's ready to do the parry is just kind of throwing me off. Luckily, it hasn't stalled my progress at all. There was a few, like the last two bosses, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna be stuck for a little bit. But then I wasn't. Like you just kind of start to figure out the timings. And I understand that's normal, but I haven't been able to quite get what I feel like is the right feel for it yet. But as far as other stuff with the combat, I really like that as you do parries and attacks, you build up your beta energy, which I just think is hilarious in this game.
That's called that.
Yeah, you do.
You know, I'm building up my beta energy, and it's really generous with these attacks, and they're really powerful. And so it's really about getting like this flow, figuring out which beta move to use, and making sure to use those at the right timing as well. So I enjoy that aspect. The last thing I'll say, just because I've been going on for a while, and I'm really curious, Brad, about what you think about all of this, is I brought up the animation priority, and this is something that I've been starting to notice more in games that really is starting to annoy me. And I don't even mean in this instance right now, I'm not even talking about just combat. I think this is most egregious in Final Fantasy VII Remake, where it's like you go up, you see a door, you press a button, and then the game takes control and Cloud like goes, opens the door, and then you walk through. Or it's like, here's a switch, you press the button, and then the animation takes over and you got to move the switch, stuff like that. And Stellar Blade is the same way, where it's like, oh, you see a camp, you got to go, you got to do the little animation where she flips the coin, puts in the thing, you unlock the camp. You want to sit down, you press the button, you watch her sit down, she crosses her arms and looks grumpy, and then you heal, stuff like that. It's just this this thing of like always like constantly taking control away from the player. And I get it, especially, I mean, the animations in this game are amazing. Same with Final Fantasy VII. But it gets to a point where I'm like, man, I want to go to this camp. I want to upgrade my shit, but I have to go through like 6 animations, it feels like, for this whole process. And I feel like there's got to be like some kind of middle ground where it's like, man, I don't need necessarily an animation for everything. But
yeah, you know, well, AAA gaming, a lot of times they do want nice animations. You know, they don't want your character just teleport sitting down, which I mean, I think it's fine. And I think, Dustin, a lot of it is you pushing a button on something because they don't want you to accidentally interact with stuff all the time. Like if you're just trying to walk through somewhere and your character maybe just auto sits or something like that, that could be really annoying. But I don't mind them, Dustin, as long as they're quick, I suppose. But I don't know. That is an interesting qualm to have. I will think about that more, though, as I play. Definitely.
It's certainly a thing. Like I wrote about it for Push Square. Like they're all on the record for this. It's they call it a 0.5 second lag between the moment you press the button and the moment the skill is visible on screen, specifically for the skill. But yeah, they say they can't reduce it, and it's to keep the animation. I'm assuming this is the bustiness and the bouncing can't be interrupted.
You can't tone it down. It's physically impossible.
Parrying is the price that must be paid for the Goonie.
Yeah. Well, the thing, I guess I'll ask you, Brad, is just that. What do you think about this difference between Sekiro and, we'll say, Stellar Blade and Lies of P, where it's, I mean, Sekiro, yeah, there is an animation that happens when the parry, but it feels completely different to me.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Dustin. From Software, Sekiro, they're always the best at everything they do, combat-wise. So I never expect anyone to ever be as good as them, ever. Because I would be dissatisfied every time if I did. But I think as long as like the intent and the design is clear to me, I can overcome it. Like we're saying with Stellar Blade, this animation priority, it'll be a little jarring for me at first, but then I just kind of get used to it. I'm like, okay, that's just how the game works. And I can adapt it. Of course, it takes time. Like I'm still figuring stuff out as I'm going through the game, but it doesn't really bother me that much, Dustin. Just because I know it's not From Software, you know, it's not the GOAT.
Right. I'm wondering, I'm like, is this a preferential thing, a choice from the developers, which is, you brought up the 0.5 second thing that was like, yeah, this is for the animation to play out. Is it a design choice, or is it just that their combat isn't as tight and good?
Could
or
be
both.
Could be both.
Yeah. They say that it cannot be reduced any further, but then they go on to suggest that if there's enough feedback. Oh, no, sorry. It's that if the delayed animations, specifically in combat, make the gameplay more difficult for players, they'll consider fiddling with it. So make of that what you will. It's
because they'd probably have to speed up the animation a lot more, and it might not look as natural as they want it to look, I guess, like that. So maybe that's not why they do it. Like, you think of Sekiro, Dustin, he has like the sword pretty much up the whole time, and he's just doing quick like little things like that, so you can do it really fast, which I think is smart, especially for the game you want to do. But yeah, looks like they really want to like show off the parries in this game, very flashy in everything you do, which I'm fine with. It's just a different design philosophy.
Yeah, it looks great. Like, from what little I've played, like, it feels good. Again, like, you kind of get used to it pretty quickly, I found. Or I honestly didn't even notice until I saw people talking about it, which is kind of the way.
Yeah. I don't know, Dustin. Yeah, it bugged you the whole way through Lies of P, right? You just felt like you can get it down. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, which... And that's the thing. I'm like, I feel the comments on me right now about the skill issue and stuff like that. It's like, I beat Lies of P. Like I made it work. It's just almost, again, I said this in the Discord. This is like Sekiro brain rot. It just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel right to me. Like, it just doesn't feel as good as it should. And I don't know if that's from the stupid amount of time it took me to get the Sekiro Platinum. It's just like tattooed on my brain. This is what a perfect parry sequence should feel like, but I'm still making my way through it. And in a way, I will say that because I'm finding it more difficult in that way, when I do a full sequence of perfect parries, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. I did it. I pulled it off. But so yeah, I'm still working my way through that. But Brad, I don't know how far you are, but what are you thinking about it so far as a fellow fan of these types of games?
I'm not nearly as far as you. Like, I'm still in like a very more linear kind of area, I suppose. Like, I haven't met Shion, I guess, which is pretty early. I haven't met her yet. I don't have the gun or anything like that. I am happy with the game so far, though. I think the combat feels good, which is extremely important to me. Like, the feeling of parrying feels really nice. The hits feel good. And the environments, I think, are okay. There's like some exploration going on. Like, I've definitely been going off the path and figuring out how to get to this area, or like there's this one part where there's like these cranes you move around, and I like broke through a hidden wall and found some outfit there and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I do like the collectibles. I think the outfits are good. I think cosmetics are always really fun unlocks. Like Jedi Survivor did that, where I was really excited to like get everything, because I'm like, oh, what new hairstyle am I gonna get, or something like that. So I think that's really cool.
What new
the ponchos. I love the poncho, dude. And of course, like the health upgrades, I think's fun. You get the pieces. I forgot what they're called, Dustin, but you get like 3 pieces or something, then your max health will go up and stuff like that. Or find a pickup that increases your weapon damage. I always like stuff like that because it does incentivize exploration. I think there's side quests in the game. I haven't gotten to anything like that yet, so I'm not exactly sure. I think the platforming is okay. It's just like, it's serviceable. It's not amazing or anything like that. It's not like garbage, but it's fine. It's
a little wonky. I feel like I managed to fall off a platform.
Yeah,
even in
it
my
happens.
Demo play.
I fell to my death several times. She dies pretty easily from fall damage. Dustin, I do like the parry thing with the enemies. How they have like a certain, like an indicator above them, like green circles, I think it is, or something. And if you parry them, they go away. And if you do all of them, it leaves them open to like a very vulnerable attack. I think that's really cool. I love stuff like that, so I'm really happy they put that in. I do like the combos too, like different types of combos. Square, triangle, hold this button, let go of that button, different orders. I think that's all really fun. I think that helps separate it from, particularly like from Software and Lies of P, because you're actually doing combos in this game.
Right.
You could do like light combos in those other games, but here you're like doing like 6-hit combos, which I think is really fun. So I think that's all really good. The environment so far is just the ruined city, and I realize I'm early in the game, so I'm like not too critical of that overall. I'll see how I feel as it keeps going though, but I am having a really good time with the game. I do think the gameplay is really fun. Of course, that's carrying it. I've been trying to keep tabs on the story and just seeing what's going on there, so I'll see how I feel about that when it's all done. The music, obviously, very good, really nice, very atmospheric, well done. And I've only fought like a couple bosses, and they've been good, just nothing like stand out yet, where I'm like, whoa, that was a really sick boss. Once again, no From Software level bosses yet, but also I never expect it from anyone else. So, but yeah, I think it's a really good. I'm having a really good time with it right now. But
you brought up the different costumes. Obviously, that's been a big point that people are talking about and sharing online, and that's where that whole controversy is. But outside of that, I think, dude, the costumes are super fun too. Yeah. And that's I was joking to Holly. I was like, you know, I'm going to talk about the costumes on Summon Sign, how fun it is to unlock them and swap them out and stuff like that. And people will joke about, you know, you got to get this costume. Oh, this one shows off the ass more. This one's more revealing this way. It's like, yeah, but like you, Brad, in any game where I can change out the costume, I'm doing that all the time. Like,
all the time.
Fashion Souls through and through.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it's been fun unlocking the different outfits. Eventually, there's a barber that you can unlock, and you can change her hair.
Oh, cool!
And so it really is a little dress up game for the boys to dress up your Eve, give her a different haircut, give her some nice clothes, and so yeah, I'm enjoying that aspect of it as well. And Brad, I know you're not quite there yet. Eventually, you do get to this like hub world where you can pick up quests. There's like a quest board. So there's like low level side quests that are quest board that are kind of just like go kill 10 of this guy or whatever. But then there's all these different actual story related side quests where there's different characters you interact with. Some of them more interesting than others. And those you end up going into like more open world levels. And that's what's been kind of interesting so far is that first section that you're playing, Brad, totally linear all the way through. And then you get to the open world. And then you get to the hub world. And then you get to an open world section where all the story plays out in this open world. And then I won't say anything about it, but the next section after that is linear. So it kind of does this jump between
back and forth. Okay.
Yeah, full linear levels and then more open world style levels, which has been cool.
I think that's fine. I'm totally cool with that.
What do you think about how many puzzles have you encountered so far?
Puzzles? I don't know about like a puzzle necessarily to like progress. I like the ones for chests where you have to do the inputs. I really like doing those every time, but I don't think I've run into a puzzle that I can recall off the top of my head yet.
It is really random with the puzzles. There's puzzles that I don't know. I mean, I still have a lot more of the game, but there's still like one puzzle mechanic, and then it never comes up again. Where it's just like, this was a one-time deal.
Puzzle.
Some of them cool. Like there's one that's very much like the BioShock one.
Yeah, Gene was telling me about that.
That one's cool. I've only done it once, and then there's some that are more. I don't want to say math focused, but more like numbers and shape focused. I'm like, I think I'm good. There's this one side quest where you get a note that has like all these numbers, and you have to like decrypt them or figure out like what the actual code is. And I felt like Colin because I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not figuring this out. And I just Googled what the number input was. I'm like, I don't got time for that. I'm not doing that. But so the puzzles are a bit mixed, but none of them have been so egregious that I like hate it.
Yeah, well, that's good at least. Let's see. Papa Biscuit wrote in.
Oh,
greetings, horny summoners. Whoa, I love Stellar Blade, but I just wish it was more linear. The side quests, especially the bullet board quests, are pretty bad. On top of that, there's no mini map for the open world area. Like WTF. It reminds me how bad the FF16 quest design was. But at least FF16 had a mini-map. If the developers can't think of a good side quest, just take them out of the game. Other than that, I'm loving the game. And parentheses. Oh, how many times have you jumped through a ladder or missed a ledge despite Eve clearly being able to grab it?
Mhm.
I think I missed a ladder one time. I think I was like, oh, that seemed weird. But is that a
Yeah.
consistent thing?
Yeah, he's definitely right about the lack of minimap. In the you'll feel this particularly, Brad, when you get to the next section where there's all these side quests, and so they'll show up. You swipe up on the touch bar and it brings up the full screen map, which is cool because it shows you where the different side quest locations are, or like the main quest, whatever. But some of these side quests, especially when I was first getting the lay of the land for this section of this open world, I was just constantly, I was like, oh, where do I go? Where do I go? Constantly swiping up. I'm like, man, why doesn't this game have a mini map? It does have, there's a little scan feature that your drone has that you press on the touchpad and it scans. And when it does that, it'll bring up the compass mini map that if you have specific ones selected, it will bring them up on the compass. But it's not a good replacement for a proper mini map. It definitely feels like it could have used that in specific sections, but yeah, at least the map itself, when you bring it up, is really good overall. But it's funny that Papa Biscuit here is saying that he wishes it was more linear, just because I feel like it kind of has a good mix of both. And the open world parts, the side quests, I guess you probably should do them to level up and get those bonus upgrades in order to upgrade your health and your beta meter and stuff like that. I'm trying to get the max beta meter when I'm playing Stellar Blade. Dude, I just think it's so funny that it's like, I'm charging up my beta energy. Funny choice. But yeah, I guess I can see that. But overall, I think that I was worried that the side quests would be completely boring, and he's right that the ones on the bulletin board can be kind of boring, but those ones really just reward you with money that I've found for like money and some experience. So it's like you could probably just not do those if you don't want to.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see. Kevin Rafa wrote in. Hey, Brad and the Summoners. I'm about 3 to 4 hours into Stellar Blade and just past Shion. So far, this game is pretty boring. The enemies are plain and boring. Wow. And the environments are extremely dull. Does this game get better? Dustin, what do you think?
Just for your comments, I thought I noticed this earlier, Brad, but I didn't know if I didn't know what you're talking about. That is Zion. Just
is that how they say it?
X. Yeah, that's Zion. That's the hub.
You know
city.
what? I'm thinking of Shion from Kingdom Hearts. I think that's how it's spelled in Kingdom Hearts.
You got the Kingdom Hearts brain rot, dude.
Yeah. Well, let me see if that's how it's spelled in Kingdom Hearts. I gotta know.
Yeah,
that's how it's spelled in Kingdom Hearts, dude.
Okay, fair enough. You know, that makes sense. So, but yeah, Zion.
Okay, Zion.
Game is the enemies are plain and boring, and the environments are extremely dull.
I don't like plain and boring or very broad statements.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder what people want. Like, what is going to be not plain and boring in this sci-fi, universe with busty Korean women? Like, this is sort of the opposite of plain and boring, isn't it?
You're fighting like weird necromorph alien kind of things a lot of the time. Like a gaping dragon face guy. That's pretty unusual, right? It's not like you're fighting a space marine or something.
Yeah. Well, I would tell Kevin that to keep playing because without being specific, the next section opens up to a lot more enemy types, and some of them not just like weird blobby monster guys. There's like a variety of different types. Some of them I don't want to. I'm trying to not spoil stuff for people because I don't want to get. But
Gene just told me it ramps up.
Oh yeah, it definitely ramps up. And I think what they did a really good job with is that the enemies feel very different to fight. Like some of them in the next area are like big brute guys where you have to be more careful about like their big attacks and maybe focus on dodging more. Whereas some of them, like there's one enemy and you probably saw this in the demo that has like a shield. And so you really have to focus on parrying him because you can't get through that shield. So they do a good job with variety. Just keep playing for now, and you will be surprised.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, this is from James Hill. Hey, Aussie summon ussies. Jesus.
Ooh.
Is the Stellar Blade hard R shot more of an oops by Korean devs not knowing the native connotation in American society, or some sneaky marketing to get Stellar Blade some free promotion? Either way, let's agree this controversy is fucking stupid and it's not racist if you end it with an A. Have a great day. I do think it was just a mistake. Like,
wait, is James arguing that if you use the N-word and you end it with an A, that it's not racist? Is that his point?
Yes, that's what James is arguing.
James, stand down. Stand down on that, James.
Yeah, that's a contentious one. I'll let the Americans take the lead on this. This is a little out of my wheelhouse, let's say.
Well, just by how Gene described it to me earlier, there's like these hard graffitis, or there was throughout the whole game, and there's like the shop R something. I think there's a shop.
It's just the R shop.
Yeah, and they just happen to be around the same part of each other. I don't think it was them being malicious or anything like that whatsoever. I think it was just a simple mistake, and someone was just probably like, "Oh, hey, that might be a little dicey. Let's patch that out." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And that's probably it.
I will say this, like, you know, we exist in an American world, right?
Right.
That's sort of how it is. Like, you know, internationally, I know a lot about America. My experience is that a lot of people don't know a lot about Australia. I could imagine that being the case for Shifter. Like, although, that's the thing. You'd think someone would know that this was going to be an issue.
Well,
you know, like,
someone said it before the game came out, at least. Like, it was changed, I think, on the day one patch or something, so...
Interestingly, Lance McDonald is quite involved in all this, because I believe he had access to the 1.0 file, right? Like, yeah, and he's been posting footage of, you know, was it actually censored or not? And I want to say he actually reported that to Shifter. He was one of the pre-release guys that sort of got that to them, and thus they were able to change that so quickly. I could be wrong about that, but I know he's involved. Deeply involved.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it was going around. I mentioned on Sacred that someone had sent this to me when the reviews went. They're like, "This is going to be a thing.
That's funny.
This is going to be a thing." I was like, "Oh boy," but yeah, it's I mean, I talked about it a lot on Sacred. Was it intentional? I don't think so. It is kind of surprising that someone in localization or testing didn't
pick up on it.
But I also can see that, like, you see the spray paint all over the place, and so by the time you get to that point in the game, you might not even look at it and then make the connection of those two being next to each other at that point. So
yeah, I find like with so much of this stuff, I'm like, maybe I'm not paying attention enough to environments. Like, maybe I'm just moving. I don't even know that I would have caught that, like, unless I'd seen it, you know, pointed out so specifically. It's
could have easily just ran by it, I guess, and not even noticed.
I will say though, and just to be very clear on this next word, we had an interesting situation, Dustin. I think you guys might have even mentioned it, but we used the word niggle in a headline. Right? And
I remember that, yeah.
Oh my God. So this is such an American thing, because this is not a problem where I live, and it's not a problem in Britain, as far as I'm aware. It's just a common word, and the shitstorm we got from America. And, like, I gotta say, like, big ups to, you know, Hookshot. We never changed it. There's no problem with having that in a headline. It's just that, yeah, I think that made the local news or something in the UK. It was like the reaction that came from that was, but yeah, I remember you guys discussing that, and it was, it's very interesting how these like little Anglophone isms come across. But you got to be careful out there. You got to be very careful.
Gotta be careful.
Right. Because that's the thing about this controversy, I guess if you want to call it a controversy, whatever, is that it's like, it's not that they straight up had the N-word in the game.
Right.
If they had something alluding to the N-word in the game that is, you know, like you're saying, Americans know this clearly
Yes.
what hard R means. But outside of that, I totally get that it's like they wouldn't understand that, or not understand, but not know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, this is from Robbie Cooper. Hey, Summon guys. Just wanted to say how confused I am about Stellar Blade. I was very excited when it was first being shown off, but now I have it canceled and don't know if I should pick it up. You guys talked about being a Souls-like game, and that instantly destroyed my excitement. I very much hate Souls games and the get good attitude surrounding them. Then I asked the LSM community, and they said there are different difficulty settings, and it's not Souls-like in that way. I just want to play this game on easy or normal and enjoy the atmosphere and the sexual experience. So which is it? Thanks as always, Robbie. Robbie, yeah, there's difficulties. At least 2 right off the bat. There's like a normal and easy. So you can change that right away. It does not seem nearly as hard as some of the other, like, From Software games or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, you'll die and stuff, totally, but...
Yeah, it definitely ramps up the difficulty, because the first boss that you play in the demo, the first time I beat it in one go, and I was like, oh, yeah, that wasn't that bad. Maybe this will be pretty easy. And then, as I said, like later on, there's some that I will say that it is Souls-like in that if you are playing on normal, the game does demand you to play it and use its mechanics. You must be parrying. You must be doing the perfect dodges. You got to use the beta energy. You got to use these things. Whereas, some other games, you could kind of just like button spam and heal through it. And this game will require you to, I guess, get good or translation, use the game's mechanics properly in order to succeed. So it's definitely not something that you're going to just be able to button mash through. But I haven't used the easier mode to know how much that takes it down a notch.
Yeah, I think part of the fun is using all of this stuff too, all the mechanics and learning them. So if that doesn't interest you, then maybe hold off for now or wait for a sale. So you don't feel as bad it's not as big of an investment for you down the line or something like that.
I'm glad you guys had that episode sort of diving into the term, trying to update Colin's working understanding of the term, because it is a confusing one. But it sort of frustrates me a little bit when people immediately go difficulty, because that's never been what's drawn me to Souls-likes, and I've played them all. I will say, I could never get past Sword Saint Ishin. That was the extent of my Sekiro skills.
Oh man,
I was done. I had to walk away. At that point,
that's I don't know if that's the hardest fight in all of Souls. It's definitely one of the hardest, and I think that is my favorite From Software fight.
Dude, that's
as painful as it is.
That's like my favorite boss fight ever. Period. It's just that damn good.
I mean, Genichiro is really good too.
Yeah,
like
Genichiro's awesome.
Like, lightning thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here. I mean, Sekiro's the best. Everyone will agree with you here. All right, that's it for Stellar Blade. Dustin, you've been playing an old boomer classic.
I knew you were going to call it a boomer game.
Yeah,
I knew it. Because I probably brought it up to you like a year ago, and you're like, "Oh, you're playing that boomer game."
Yeah, Now you're playing Rollercoaster Tycoon. Now, Dustin, I did play this game when it came out at a friend's house, and I will say, cool ass game, sick game. Go ahead, dive in. What have you been doing?
Yeah, Rollercoaster Tycoon. This game fucking rules. It was just the 25th anniversary of the game, and so I've been seeing stuff on Twitter about it. I think I follow the official account, so I was thinking about it. I was like, it might be time to go back to the old me and play some Rollercoaster Tycoon. And this game has been near and dear to me for, I mean, I don't know about a full 25 years, because I can't remember. It might be. I played the first one. It was just the first one that came out, but for the unaware, Rollercoaster Tycoon is a theme park simulator game, of course, with an emphasis on building roller coasters. It's in a isometric view that uses pixel art for the different coasters and what you're looking at in the game. And this game has a really interesting backstory that I didn't know until recently, that the solo developer, Chris Sawyer, which he had another guy do music and another guy do art for it, he coded this game. And I'm sure there's some programmers in the audience that will know more about this than me, but a lot of times games are programmed in what's called high level programming languages. So like C++ or even high, game engines and stuff. I probably sound like a moron to the programmers out there. But how it's explained to me is that Rollercoaster Tycoon was coded in a low level language called assembly. And so this requires like something that would take 3 or 4 lines of code in C++ or whatever would take 12. And what's so interesting about him coding in an assembly is that he was able to make this game that has, you might have like 20 or 30 rides all going at once, 1,000 different individual guests in your park, all this simulation running. And it was able to run on pretty low end computers at the time, which I think was a huge, huge boost for the millions of little kids out there like me at the time that just had their family computer and they were able to play this game. And it had such a critical or like a mass market impact to the point where I think with Rollercoaster Tycoon a few years after it came out, maybe more than that, they were giving it away in cereal at one point. Like there was like you got it in a cereal, like Captain Crunch or like Cinnamon Toast Crunch or something like that. You could get a copy of Rollercoaster Tycoon 2.
That's awesome.
And I mean, there's so many things that I really, truly love about this game is that it's one of those like games where anyone can really pick it up and play it, where you build a few different rides, like a merry-go-round and stuff like that. And you can work your way up and start building coasters where they have all these pre-made ones. But what's been fun about me playing it this time is that I've really made a challenge for myself to custom make all of my roller coasters, which has been very challenging and very fun because and I guess that this is obvious, but it's fun for me to figure out that you really have to take into account the ride experience when you're making these coasters. Because when I was in second or third grade playing this game, it's like, let's have 1,000,000 loops and a free fall and stuff like that. And this coaster would practically kill you. And then when I'm playing it, I'm like, why doesn't anyone want to ride this ride that breaks your neck? Like, clearly this should be good. So you have to take into account, it's like, okay, well, after this drop, I can't just do like a hard right turn, or the lateral G's are going to be too high, the G force. So you got to like do a banked turn and stuff like that. And it's like, how do you consider the momentum of the ride? Like, how high have you gone up and how much momentum is still left? Stuff like that. So it's been really fun going back as an adult and at least a little bit smarter than when I was playing as a kid and taking all these things into account. And it has the perfect level of like micromanagement in the park as well, where of course you're primarily focused on building rides and roller coasters and setting up paths and scenery and stuff. But there's also a more micro level where you have like your handymen or your janitors that are going up and they're cleaning up people's throw up all over from your ride that was too intense. You got your mechanics going around, they're fixing the rides. You got to take the different pricing of the ride into account, because like a new ride that's a high excitement level, you can charge more for, but as the ride ages, you kind of have to scale down the pricing on it. And there's it's a surprisingly really a deep game. And I have to shout out this one YouTuber that I've been watching who I am obsessed. His name is Marcel Voss, and his entire channel is dedicated to Rollercoaster Tycoon.
Whoa.
And he like does these insane videos that are like, what is the absolute smallest roller coaster with the highest amount of highest amount of excitement, or like what the longest roller coaster ever created that the earth will die or the sun will die before it's over, like this death roller coaster or whatever. The last thing I'll say before we get into some of these questions and anything that you guys want to say is just that I've really been appreciative of this project called OpenRCT, which is I believe it's open source mod for Rollercoaster Tycoon, specifically 2, but you can add in the scenarios from 1 that makes the game playable on modern hardware with basically no work other than installing this mod, and tons of quality of life updates and features and stuff that they've fixed. And so it's done so much for the community of the game, keeping it alive, this project, and they're still like constantly updating it and making conscious decisions of like, okay, what can we change that's going to be better, but also keep around the original experience of the game. And so that's like the way. Like you can buy Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 on Steam for probably less than $5, and then just go install OpenRCT, and it's like good to go completely. So this game is amazing. I come back to it every few years, and it's been particularly fun because Holly, she also grew up playing Rollercoaster Tycoon, and so she also is getting back into it. So I've been playing Stellar Blade on the couch, and she's beside me on her laptop, also building roller coasters and working through all the different scenarios.
Sick.
It's been cool.
Rollercoaster Tycoon 3? Is that the most recent one?
Okay. Well, you've opened up a can of worms, Brad.
Yeah, not into that.
So Rollercoaster Tycoon 3, after 2, Chris Sawyer, I'm pretty sure, basically was like, I've done all I wanted to do in this game. And I think there was like some rights issues that involve Atari or something. Okay. And so Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 was made by Frontier, who makes Planet Coaster now. So that was one of their first big projects in the Rollercoaster Tycoon world. They had done some of the expansion packs for 1 and 2. And 3 is still pretty good, but that was a full move into 3D. And so it's a very different type of game. Okay. And not my preference. I was very disappointed in it when it came out when I was in 5th grade or something.
Okay. Good to know. Let's see. Oh, Dustin, I guess I just remember playing this game and just trying to make people puke on the rides, and because trying to like make it go off the tracks, I guess, like the roller coasters and all that stuff. I didn't pay attention to much as the other aspects, like pleasing guests, I guess, it was just a kid dicking around, fucking up this park.
I'll never forget when I was a kid, I built like this loop-de-loop, like a preset ride that's basically it launches, it does a loop, and then it goes up, and then the train goes back down and back into the station. And I remember thinking, oh, well, faster is better. So I'm going to crank up the speed of this. And then it just flies off the tracks. Yeah. Everyone dies in an explosion. I was like, oh, I guess that's not good. Yeah. But you got to be careful. Like you got to make sure you test all of your rides before you let guests on them. And even then, certain rides will have like weak points on them. And so sometimes every once in a while, you'll just have an accident. You'll have a fatality. A bunch of people die. And and everyone goes on the park like, oh, it's fine. You just reopen the ride. No big deal.
Yeah.
Same thing.
In a little bit of a morbid related news, like it was probably 2 years ago now, we had a pretty horrific incident here in Australia on a ride. Yeah, it was like truly brutal, horrific stuff. It was like,
what's the park? I might know about it.
Dreamworld, it's called. Dreamworld on the Gold Coast. It was like, so it's like this flume ride thing, and everyone's like in these little boats, but like people got caught in the gears and shit. It was wild. It was like a shockingly brutal, horrible thing. And now I'm just kind of scared to go back. Obviously, it's like a freak accident, but yeah, one too many.
Yeah,
one too many.
We talked about roller coasters on Constellation a few months ago. And the park I like to go to, Cedar Point, they had a piece of metal fly off of the Top Thrill dragster and struck a lady. She survived.
Oh my God.
It's one of those things where I know she needed to go to the hospital. I don't know how badly she was injured, but I mean, she's set for life. If I had the choice to get struck by a roller coaster and not have any, horrible problems, I mean, that's kind of the ideal situation. It's not bad. But they closed that ride. It's reopening. It's actually reopening in a few weeks now.
Dude,
much
you remember
better.
That picture of Fabio like hitting a bird on a roller coaster or some shit, dude?
Oh yeah.
Damn. What are the chances of that?
Whatever
Hey,
happened to Fabio?
I don't know, dude. He's probably just made so much bank from being on romance novels
For
that
being
he's
hot.
set for just being hot. Yeah. Khayl, is the Gold Coast on the east coast of Australia?
It is, yeah. So
Okay.
the Gold Coast is about 2 or 3 hours south of me. I'm on the Sunshine Coast,
Oh,
and I live in a suburb called Sunshine Beach. Um, Actually, I wanted to talk to you about this, Brad. You're from the OC, right?
yes.
Yeah. So, like, we watched that, loved it growing up, the
Yeah.
TV show. Yeah. The town I live in is like what that show depicts. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
it's a really beautiful like surfing town. We have like a huge international surfing competitions
Cool.
but like the wealth disparity is crazy. Like I grew up,
Mm.
not a lot of money, but you go into high school with the sons of millionaires and like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Yeah.
the suburb I live in, like 3 streets away, we're talking $20 million mansions. But I just live in like a normal human town because Australia's so young. Like the town I live in, my dad in the 70s was like a stoner and surfing. And that was sort of how this town started, like
Cool.
that recently. it's,
Yeah, it's like that where I'm at. Like Laguna Beach and like Newport Beach are like 20 minutes from me. And those are obviously
yeah.
very wealthy areas.
Yeah.
But I'm in Irvine, which is a wealthy area too, but not nearly as expensive as that, probably.
The focus on the beach is huge here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, surfing's a big deal. People are like real. A dude I went to high school just recently knocked out Kelly Slater to become the #1 surfer in the world,
Wow.
which is
Whoa.
That's pretty cool.
like we could take surfing in high school. It was a class,
That is cool. Yeah.
but
That's
you just
awesome.
go sit on the beach or something.
I asked about it because I remember I played an MMO way back in the day. I don't remember if it was Final Fantasy 11 or World of Warcraft or whatever, but I met some guy and he said he was from the Gold Coast or whatever. And I thought he was from California because I was like, oh, we're the Golden State.
Yeah, right,
And,
right.
and he like laughed at me and he's like, nah, mate. I was like, oh,
What?
man.
The Gold Coast is really interesting because Americans have caught on. It's the exact same climate as LA.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, and there's like all these tax breaks, so the Gold Coast is becoming our Hollywood now. Like,
Huh.
my wife was an extra in Thor Ragnarok just because they
Cool.
filmed that here, and there's all Australia's a weird place. There's a lot of weird shit. Everyone looks like Margot Robbie and what's his name, Thor. Everyone's like
Yeah.
jacked and healthy, and if you sit inside and play PlayStation all day like me, it's a strange strange
Yeah.
place to live.
Every place is weird. Everyone's got weird shit. All right. This is from Andreas Lennartson. Can we please talk about the overly dramatic main theme from Rollercoaster Tycoon? It's like it was written by Danny Elfman's gamer twin brother. Now, I
Whoa.
have to pull this up because I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I'm
Dustin,
unfamiliar with this.
what is this?
Yeah. Well, there's been a few depending on which game you're playing, but it's it's very much like the carousel, the merry-go-round music,
Oh
but
my
on
god, it
crack.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Well, that's kind of, I feel like there's an unsaid rule with Roller Coaster Tycoon. You got to build the merry-go-round first, and you got to let the music play the entire time.
This song's sick, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah, and all the songs that play on the merry-go-round in the game are also awesome, and they're permanently ingrained in my head just from
Nice,
always
dude.
having it on while playing the game. You always have a merry-go-round nearby, so it's just constantly playing. It's kind of like Fallout, how you keep the radio on all the time, and you can't turn. At least I refuse to turn off the Diamond
Sure.
City radio or whatever,
Yeah.
and then it just becomes a part of you at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, that song's pretty rad. All right, this is from Nuke Dukem. What's up, Summoners? Question for Dustin, but all are welcome to answer. As somewhat of a roller coaster tycoon myself, what keeps you coming back to this game? For me, it's the perfect game to chill out and build a sweet theme park for my little people to enjoy. And the idea that I don't even feel any pressure to do any checkbox stuff that most games demand these days. Love the show and keep doing what you're doing. Also, very happy Brad is part of the team. It's been a joy to listen to. Thank you, Nuke Dukem. All right, Dustin, what keeps you coming back?
What keeps me coming back? Well, I would say this game is very much feels like Legos in a way, where
Ooh.
some of the newer games, I mentioned Planet Coaster earlier. Those games are amazing. It's so cool what you're able to create. But one of the main differences is that they're just simply a lot more complex being in 3D. And you have all different directions. Whereas Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 and 2 are totally grid based. And so that limiting factor of it being grid based actually makes it feel I don't know if easier is the right word, but it doesn't feel like there's so many different things you can do that it's overwhelming in a way.
Yeah.
And so, well, the fun part, another fun part for me going back is that when I was a kid, I never cared about making my park look good. I just was very utility. Put this here. Don't worry about scenery at all. Cut down all the trees, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been learning through watching that YouTuber I mentioned earlier is that if you have scenery around your rides, it actually increases the excitement level of the ride. So there actually is a stat bonus for decorating your rides. And so the one scenario is it starts out in a castle. And so I very specifically was like, I'm going to deck out all these rides. All the different queues have little castle walkways and stuff like that. And putting different things like the different what's the word I'm looking for? Like scenario objects, the different things you can put around the castle shit in the different areas. I don't know. I can't remember the
themed
word,
items.
Yeah, the themed items. You put them around, and it's been rewarding. And like I said, it's like this Lego aspect. It's very zen in a way. I mean, it can also not be zen. It can be very frustrating, like building the roller coasters. Just like, why isn't this fucking working? I can't get the pieces to line up in the end in a way that works. So I can definitely understand that chill game aspect.
Yeah.
And there's something about it that is addicting and timeless, that it's just it's one of those comfort games that you can come back to. I don't have to think too much, but it's still challenging in a lot of ways. And it's, like I said, still evolving.
Yeah. What is some of the best lines you can think of from amusement parks for a ride?
The best lines? In real life or in the game?
Yeah, in real life.
In real life. Oh, the best one I've been to is, I mean, it's got to be the Bowser Castle in Nintendo.
That's
world.
probably sick. Yeah.
That one's good. They got the giant Bowser statue. You're going around, you can see like the bombs being made. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
And also, I mean, it's the same park in Universal when I was there in Japan, but the Harry Potter ride was really cool because you're going into Hogwarts and there's all the different the paintings and stuff like that. And it was it was particularly funny in Japan because they have like these videos playing where you can see Dumbledore talking, but he was talking in Japanese. So that was pretty cool. But I'm sure, Brad, I mean, you've been to Disney a bunch of times. I'm sure the rides lines there.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, Disney's just high budget as fuck and all that stuff. Indiana Jones line is insane, dude. Like it's like laid out like people are going through this temple and like slowly uncovering things like artifacts, like traps. They're finding out about traps, like don't pull this rope, spikes come down. You see like skeletons laying around, all that cool shit. Star Tours, also fun, dude. Going through there, they got the ship and you got like C-3PO talking to you, and then you got a bunch of droids going on. All that good stuff. And of course the Haunted Mansion. Going through that.
Yeah.
The line, the body hanging as you go down the elevator. So good.
Right.
All that shit rules. Khayl, what about you? Anything you can think of at the top of your head?
Yeah, no, it's just so desolate and barren down here. Like, so Dream World, the one I told you about where the horrible death happened, that's sort of the main one in Australia. Then we have Wet and Wild, which is like our big water park. And then we've got Movie World. And that's sort of it for like
movie
rides. Yeah, it's like WB, like there's like a Superman. It's all,
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's like they have like crazy roller coasters, but I'm a massive baby. And I can't handle roller coasters at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You would like Disney
My
ones. Disney ones don't
Yeah.
have like loops, really.
My greatest shame is there was like this huge water ride, like at Wet and Wild, and it's like a huge drop, right? And then you essentially go into like a funnel and do this
Mhm.
like full loop and like drop down. And I waited in line for like 25 minutes. Children, and like the line is up a stair kind of thing, and there's just like children under the age of like 5 and 6 going on this thing, and I just had to get out of the line at the end and walk past them all.
Damn.
Yeah, and you know, Australians are savage, so I've got like my older brother and like friends at the top just yelling at me the whole way down as I do this like walk of shame. And so yeah, I'm a major baby. I'm out of my depth here.
That's really funny. All right, last question for this. This is from Dustin Furryman. This is a weird question.
Okay.
Dustin is shaking his head already. Hello, guys. This question is for myself. As Dustin, I want to know if I have replicated any real-life roller coasters in Rollercoaster Tycoon. Also, what is my favorite way to torture park guests? Thanks, me. Is this like your nobody, Dustin, or your...
Is this person, they're trying to frame me as an alt
furry?
account?
Yeah.
I feel like I would be a little more subtle than Dustin Furryman. And I also wouldn't write in declaring it as a question for myself. But anyway, I guess if I'm asking myself this question, if I ever replicated any real life coasters, I haven't done that, but I've thought about it. I feel like I barely can like make a ride on my own, let alone like look and try to replicate something like that. But I've seen there's some awesome YouTube videos of people that have like fully recreated Cedar Point in Rollercoaster Tycoon and done some crazy stuff. I'm curious how it pans out though of some of these rides where you can recreate the ride, and I wonder if the stats on them would be good in the game, like how accurate it would be if something like Millennium Force, which is like a super long giga coaster that goes super high, if that would pan out and be a ride in Rollercoaster Tycoon that would be, successful. But yeah, I think this would be fun to do. I just don't think I have the skill level yet. Like I said, I'm still making my way trying to figure out just how to even connect these things.
Yeah, you're still an amateur at roller coaster construction. You're getting there.
Yeah,
starting off. Soon to be intermediate.
Soon to be intermediate. I know some tricks, like if you make your coaster go underground for a little second, big excitement boost.
Oh, yes.
They're like, oh, fuck yeah, this goes underground.
That is a big
hell
boost.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge boost, dude. Absolutely. All right, everybody, it's time for Sort It Out! On this segment, we're just talking about something in the gaming industry that's bothering us, that needs a little sorting, They got to work their stuff out. Company, game, human being, perhaps? I don't know. Let's start with you, Khayl, as our special guest.
Thank you. Yes, I've been preparing this rant since your very first episode.
Wow.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming, and it is directed to the Horsham-based studio Creative Assembly. Sort it out. Sort out the Total War franchise. Sort out what you're doing. It's an insane situation. Are you guys familiar with Total War?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I'm as involved as you can get. I've been playing it for 20 years. Like, I'm the there's a whole community split that we can get into as well. But I'm the history, I come from the history,
like Rome,
end
those
of
ones.
Things. Yeah, Rome, all the Rome games, Shogun, Shogun 2 is my favorite, Napoleon,
that's the one
all
I played.
This good stuff.
That's the only one I played is Shogun 2.
Oh, Shogun 2 is really good. That's a really good place to start, I think. I think that's probably, in my opinion, that's about as far back as you can go. Then you start getting into really old games, and the series has just moved on. But all of that is irrelevant. The games have never really been the issue. It's the company that makes these games, because they have this captive audience of people like me who have been invested for decades. The company's not doing too well. They make this deal with Games Workshop, Brad. Warhammer, right?
Right.
So we get Total War, Warhammer. This is going to be a trilogy of games. It's great. And for me, I'm a massive Warhammer nerd, so this was like a dream come true. And again, sorry, just if anyone doesn't know, Total War is a series of grand strategy video games, the best as far as I'm concerned. They marry the strategic layer with a tactical battle layer, and usually in the world of strategy or tactics games, you get one or the other. But Total War does both, and they do it on such a scale that it's incredible. Like if you're a PC guy, it's how you show off your PC, right?
Right.
So that's always been good, and they've sort of been on this same engine. That's a whole other thing. But they get to this Warhammer deal, right? And it's a 3-game deal. It reinvigorates the whole community, like a huge influx of players. They release these 3 games, and the idea is that each one stacks on top of the next. So all the factions and the world maps are Frankenstein together, and it's the best. It's the best thing in the world, right? They're riding so high, and then they do this fucking hyenas shit out of nowhere. They take all this goodwill, money. They're the top of the line strategy studio, and they're like, let's make a free to play hero shooter, right? We don't know the full story of what happens, but it crashes and fucking burns. And us in the Total War community, like, so Warhammer 3 came out about 2 years ago now. Whenever they put out DLC for this thing, it prints money. Like, I believe this is like one of the more lucrative parts of Sega, like the creative assembly, Total War, Warhammer specifically, little area. Yeah, they just dropped the ball. They stopped releasing DLC packs. Like at one point, they were doing it every 3 months. The quality falls off. Then there's layoffs at Creative Assembly. Then the communication starts falling apart. The community was like in open revolt a few months ago. Things have sort of settled down now because they've come back, realizing that, you know, if this studio doesn't want to go under, they need to make money. So they've sort of recommitted themselves to this whole Warhammer thing. But yeah, sorted out Creative Assembly. I don't know what's going on over there. We love your games. We always have. We're not going anywhere. Like they have, and that's the thing. They have no competition. There's no other studio that does anything like this.
Yeah.
So if you want, this exact experience, yeah, it's crazy, man. In my career, I've given out 2 10s, and one was Baldur's Gate 3 just last year, and prior to that, it was Total War 3 Kingdoms, which I think is probably the best the series has been, if anyone's interested in checking it out. But yeah, sorted out Creative Assembly. I want to give you all my money, and it's just not happening. It's not happening. You have no business making free-to-play shooters. Alien Isolation, lovely little surprise for us all, but I think you got a little bit too excited by that service money, and it's just not your steez.
I like that. Just not your skis.
It's not for you.
That ain't you, man. That's just not you. All right, fair enough, dude. Sorted out, Creative Assembly. Dustin.
Yeah.
What do you got?
My sorted out, it's kind of hard to define. I want to say sorted out gaming discourse. Particularly Twitter, I feel like has been particularly painful. I mean, for a while now, but I mean, this Stellar Blade thing, and I'm not even just talking about the censorship stuff. It's just, it's like this weird mix of like people that feel like they got to get their hottest take out there along with the grifters, and then there's the trolls and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm no stranger to a little bit of trolling, and that's all in good fun. But I just, man, when I open this app, sometimes I see people saying stuff that I'm like, man, just take it easy, sort it out. You know, this is just, and I know it's especially complicated now that Twitter has incentivized trolling to some degree, engagement baiting. I get that, so I understand that's just like part of the platform now. But I don't know, it just feels like particularly insufferable right now in some ways, and I get it. I appreciate people being passionate about things.
Mm.
And I want people to be passionate. Just, you don't always have to be a dickhead about while you're passionate. So gaming discourse,
Yeah,
sort it out.
Sort it out, dude. Absolutely. Oh, a universal one, Dustin, that could be said throughout time now. That's a universal one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just calm down, guys. My sort out is, so you guys have heard of the game Escape from Tarkov, I'm sure. You know about it.
Oh yeah, yep.
So
that's a good one.
Battlestate Games, I believe, is the developer of this. They release or are releasing a new expansion for this game. That includes like a new PvE mode, all that stuff. Let's see. Access to a PvP co-op mode with persistent progression. Progression will not be reset with wipes. Enhanced stash size. Unique in-game ID. Expanded PMC packets. Increased fence standing. More slots on the flea market. Bunch of shit, okay, you can have in your game. Let's see. Free access to all subsequent DLCs. Season Pass. This thing is $250. $250 edition. And what's really annoying about this also, besides that it's insane prices, they had a version before called The Edge of Darkness, I believe. And that was supposed to include all future DLCs also. So this new edition is not honoring that whatsoever. And just being like, fuck you. You got to spend $250 for a PvE mode in our game now. So that's just the kind of life we live in. Like, Suicide Squad, disaster game, dude. But at least it's $70. This is $250 fucking dollars, dude. Absolutely insane, dude. For an expansion to your game for like a PvE mode, it's unreal. You guys gotta fucking relax over there, okay? Just fucking relax. Calm down. And don't do that shit, all right? Sort that shit out immediately. Everyone hates you right now. Everyone is pissed at Escape from Tarkov, dude. And I don't blame you, dude. I'm glad I don't play that game because that would suck ass. I'd be so mad if I was in that community.
Yeah, my understanding is they sort of have a creative assembly situation where, like, the people that play that game, there's no alternative for them. Like,
yeah, they're stuck.
Yeah, they're going to play Tarkov. I quite liked it. It was cool. The whole reset thing was kind of what pushed me out of it. But yeah, I'd be pissed too if I'd bought in.
Yeah, my girlfriend like loves Escape from Tarkov.
Yeah, right.
I'm not paying $250 for that, dude. Get fucked. Yeah, right, dude.
Wait, is that US dollars?
Yes, I believe it's $250 USD.
That's like $400 here. It's dollary dues.
I'm just seeing. Yeah, $250.
Is this live now or going to be live? I'm looking at their site now.
I just tried to buy it, and I think you have to sign up for something. Purchase.
Oh,
you
yeah,
have to register or log in.
You know, there was a whole, like, when you buy the game, you have to, like, buy it from their website. It's
it was like going through.
Weird...
It's like kind of dicey to get to like play the game. You have to like go through their shit.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, $250. I'm looking at this here. Man, that's like, I mean, I get to some extent that these companies, they want to take advantage of their whales. You know, I get it, but it's honestly, it's kind of baller. $250. I mean, not really. I mean, I hope that they are.
It's a big dick move, but I don't think it'll pay off in the end.
No.
Yeah, it's like ballsy thing to do, but yeah, I don't know about that.
Brad, here, look, if you scroll down a little bit, if you don't want to pay $250, that's fine. There's a version that's $110.
Okay.
If that's better, or $82. You know, there's a plethora of options. You don't have to.
So here's the thing, though, Dustin, is the old versions of these things, the old packs people bought that were supposed to include all future DLCs.
Right. Yeah.
And
no, I understand. I'm just being
It just says, yeah.
No, I'm trolling. I just said no trolling in discourse. Here I am. But yeah, $250. That is insane.
A little steep, guys. Dude, you should be thinking your Lucky Stars games are only $70 right now. Just fucking wait. Shit's gonna get worse, guys.
Yeah, I remember getting Ocarina of Time on 64, the golden cartridge in Australia. That was $100, and I'll never forget the look on like my parents' face, and whatever that was, like 97.
Yeah,
So
games,
like,
dude, games were so much money back in the day. Even here, games were $70, $80, $100, some of them. I think Colin said he like talked about he paid $100 for Final Fantasy 6 when it came out.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it was. But not $250 yet. For an expansion, too.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. And I mean, like, I'll probably pick up Stellar Blade right after this. That's $125 in Australia. That's what our $70 converts to. So that's a bit of sticker shock.
Are things like Game Pass and PS Plus Extra and stuff really popular there?
I don't know, because I'm not really, I don't even know any normies anymore. Like, I cancelled mine because who uses PS Plus Extra? Like, all I want is the ability to back up my cloud saves.
Yeah,
everything else, I already own all the games. Like, that's it.
Christ.
Right. I would assume so, though. I assume people are using it.
Yeah. Well, to all three of these companies, sort that shit out. All right?
Yeah.
And just internet discourse in general, as Dustin was saying. Sort that shit out.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kramer wrote in, sort it out. This whole censorship and stealth editing on Stellar Blade sucks. I know people roll their eyes when weebs are mad about Asian games, but this whole thing is silly. Some extra cleavage is bad and needs to be covered up, but GOTY winners like Baldur's Gate 3 and The Witcher 3 can have full frontal nudity, not to mention the animal fucking. This has been an issue all the way back to the NES days. Let Asian developers make the games they want to make and let the weebs have their fun. It's 2024, for Christ's sake. Sort it out.
Kramer implied animal fucking. Yes. You do not see animals fuck in Baldur's Gate 3. It cuts to black. I think a lot of people got that one mixed up. You never actually see it. It's more of a visual gag.
Thank God.
I see this.
You do see some full frontal dogs and shit. Yeah.
Well, I see this point brought up in this endless discourse about how Witcher 3 and Baldur's Gate 3, well, they weren't censored. And I know that Kramer here isn't necessarily saying that, but there's a big difference. And I'm not trying to defend the censorship here. What I am trying to say is this point doesn't make any sense because Baldur's Gate 3 and Witcher 3 were not published by Sony. So those games probably fit within what the platform allows. But with Sony, and that's if Sony is to blame for the censorship, then, and okay, so let's say in this situation they are, then it would be up to them what they choose to have as the content in the game that they are publishing.
Right.
So the Baldur's Gate 3 and Witcher 3, I guess you could say on a larger scale that it's like, look, these games are fine and successful. Why would Sony make the decision to censor this game? And I agree to that point. And that's the tough part about this whole situation is that I am against the censorship and I think it's dumb. I'm not going to go out and make this a rallying cry. You know what I mean? Right.
I think about it was a second party game or whatever, I think, but The Order 1886 had like full frontal at some part. There's like a dick in there, I believe, and stuff like that.
All right.
So, which is interesting. And The Last of Us Part 2, obviously gratuitous violence and Abby getting her cheeks clapped and shit. Just like, it's like, I don't want to fucking see that shit.
That was actually quite a shocking sex scene,
I was
actually.
Like, Jesus, Neil? Fucking relax, dude.
But also kind of like, I mentioned it earlier, like there's this fantasy novel series, the Third Law trilogy. Like it's a grim, dark thing. And like there's a few sex scenes in that where it's like, I don't know, that's probably what it would be like if for some reason you had sex on a battlefield.
Yeah.
Like it's probably great. It's probably not going to...
Yeah.
It's a shocking scene.
The whole censorship thing with this game is interesting because I don't know what was in the game, the post-patch. I don't know who's censoring it. So it's all very messy. And like them saying Stellar Blade's coming out all regions uncensored, then it's like, just kidding. It's very strange.
I wrote that news story, and it's a very interesting one because, they made a point of releasing that.
Yeah, they like said that themselves, which is weird.
Yeah, it is strange that they decided to do that, but allegedly.
I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's all confusing mess. All right, this is from Zachary Parkerson. Hey, Summoners. Sort it out to gamers forgiving horrible launches. With the recent Fallout hype, and people are singing the praises of the woefully mediocre Fallout 76 with aplomb. Same thing happened with Cyberpunk and Edgerunners. Giving these titles loud and proud redemption arcs is not only giving them a free secondary marketing push, it's telling the publishers we don't mind getting dicked around at launch. We're borderline incentivizing games to release broken so they can fix themselves up later. Get a nice series redemption marketing and form an even more adherent and zealous fan base in the process. Well, Zachary, I think the hits that Bethesda took when Fallout 76 come out, they definitely would rather not have gotten. I don't think this was some master plan whatsoever. Their reputation is damaged forever. Same with CD Projekt Red. Like, everyone is going to be much more cautious about them going in the future. I think, like, even when Cyberpunk came out, well, you got to think about with Phantom Liberty. It was brand new content that came out with that game, so that also helped a lot of it. It wasn't just like randomly people hopping into it. Like, people dogged on these games for fucking years, and they lost money probably from a lot of this bad reputation, dude. They lost a lot of goodwill from people, so I don't think they wanted that. I do not think they were happy about any of that. But I think it's cool when games can get a second chance if they can come around. Like, Final Fantasy 14 is like the highlight example of that, you know? Released in a terrible state. They took the game offline. They like actually apologized, and they made one of the best MMOs ever. So I'm really happy when these games can have good turnarounds. But
even cooler, I like that they actually incorporated that into the game, like the storyline. Like, that's such a genius stroke.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone's given like a free pass nowadays. Like, a lot of people that are playing these games I saw didn't play the games when they came out, like Fallout 76. Like Cog, he hopped into 76 recently. He didn't play it when it came out because he knew it was bad. So you're just getting a lot of new people coming in also.
Yeah, and I think there's an element too, Brad. You said that they would rather have that not happen, of course, but I'm sure that they would have rather Fallout 76 come out and have everyone love it and spend $60 on it, as opposed to now where people are picking it up for $8.
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff
like
like
plus. Like, that game was in like bargain bins when it came out because no one was buying it, dude.
And
I
will
it's especially tragic too because they fell from The Witcher 3, where they had so much goodwill with all the free DLC, and like it was, that's so rough.
I will give Zachary the idea of, specifically, I think it was Cyberpunk that won the award for best ongoing game.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
That type of accolade is not deserved to that game, especially when there are games that are ongoing that launched well and deserve that title, whereas Cyberpunk, it's like, the ongoing aspect is them mostly just fixing it. And still, I mean, it was just like last year that they totally redid the police system and stuff like that because it was ass. So I agree, not giving the accolades, but we can't punish a game forever. You know, that ends up being
like, you got to remember what it was, but you got to also accept what it is now and give it credit for what it is now.
Right. Dude, I got so much shit for bringing up Fallout 76 before Starfield came out. I was like, just be careful. Like, this is the last thing. And people, that's not Todd's game. That was the other Bethesda. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Todd sold it. Yeah. I heard Todd say
16 times the detail.
17 times whatever the detail, a million times the detail. I don't give a fuck. He's the one who sold it. He's the one in charge. Buck stops with him.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I'm not saying, I mean, Starfield was nowhere near as bad as 76, but also arguably not a great game, if I may say.
I mean,
Starfield, not a great game.
I quit it.
Me too.
Yeah. I never played it.
No, you're not missing much.
It was so weird. It came out while I was in the UK, and I'd just gotten off the Baldur's Gate 3 review.
Oh, yeah. So you were done. Yeah. You were checked out.
Well, yeah. It was so interesting to meet all the like Xbox guys, though, because this was just a few days before the reviews were about to drop, and like, I'll never forget that. That was such a like charged time. The pre-Starfield days.
Yeah, wild times. But yeah, I'm hoping Starfield has their Phantom Liberty moment or whatever. Big expansion, changes up the game a lot. That's what I want, man. That's what I need.
I just want it on PlayStation.
Well,
I'll
you'll
wait for
probably
that.
get that.
Yeah.
You'll probably get it. All right, this is from Amigdio Alvarez. Hi, Summoners. I have to issue a Sorted Out to Arrowhead. As much as I love Helldivers 2, as a
Oh.
PlayStation gamer, playing with my friends on PC is almost impossible. The social tab has been completely broken on PlayStation for a while now. I don't know how this is still happening in a live service game. So I'm trying to remember what it was like when we played, Dustin, like loading up that.
Yeah, most of our boys were on PC though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Jimmy
the
played
few
on
times-
PlayStation, right?
I did do crossplay with my one friend on PlayStation, and it was fine then. So I don't wonder if it's like an update or something along the lines broke it. I don't know. I haven't heard about this issue, but that is unfortunate if you can't play with your boys.
Yeah, that sucks. Cool game.
Yeah. It's a very good game. I'm still playing, it's the gift that keeps on giving for me as a writer. Like, it's such a fun thing to cover. Like when a video game company puts out an update or something, it's usually dry as shit. They do it like in character. They'll lie sometimes. Like there's things that aren't in the patch notes. Like, yeah, I give them a lot of rope because they're actually doing something interesting, and quite frankly, they've managed to get me into a service game, which
I mean, even Colin
didn't
was
think was
playing
possible.
Yeah, so
this is it.
Something special about it. All right, this is from James York. Hello, Summoners. Issuing a Sorted Out to digital store sales. As much as I love a good deal, these sales are being bloated with thousands of games and add-ons, most of which are trash that buries the good stuff. Sometimes I waste my entire gaming session just sifting through these to find one or two games that appeal to me. Maybe put those garbage $1 games in a different place and put the highly rated stuff where it can be curated. Take care. Love the show. Yeah, that's something that like you guys have been championing on Sacred for a long time.
Yeah.
Just like get that trash out of the spotlight, all right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing for you, James, is I wouldn't use the PlayStation Store as a place to find games. I would go, I'm sure YouTubers do like best 10 new indie games this month or something like that. So the PlayStation Store, not a good place to find. I mean, they do a decent job sometimes. Like there's those like curated sections. They don't necessarily update them all the time. And usually with sales, it's like the further you go down the list, the more trash you start to find. But yeah, it's definitely an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see sales from that on from Wario most of the time, and he like highlights some games. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll check that out. So Wario 64 is your boy. If you're curious about it.
I wonder if are you guys familiar with this? Like, if you spend a lot of time on the PSN, are you familiar with this game, Potato Sack Racing Simulator 2024?
No,
I think I saw this on the main screen. Potato Sack.
I would love to know what's going on with these dudes. They make the weirdest games. They had this other thing where it was like, oh, I fell in love with a grandma or something, and they're like these weird little like flash comedy games, but like people are buying them because I don't know, they're always rising to the top of the store and stuff. Is that what we're talking about? Like this kind of because my thing is like, what is this game? Who's buying this?
I don't know. Yeah, I see like DLCs a lot on these sales lists, like $1 microtransaction kind of stuff like that, also on there, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, I'm looking at this one. I don't know. I mean, this is a $20 game, so it's not like a cheap platinum flip, which supposedly Sony has cut down on. But yeah, this is an interesting one. This maybe needs some further investigation.
They have this weird. They've caught me a few times where I've watched like a trailer for because it seems to be the one dude, and like again, whatever. Like he's got a bit of acne. Like they're a little bit like raw. Like it's like live footage in the game. Everyone is like sort of dressed badly, as if like they want to make themselves look worse. It's just like it seems like such a strange thing. And yeah, people buy this stuff.
Yeah. So apparently I just did a search and apparently these guys have a YouTube channel called Kimulators Films. And they
Okay,
have
all right.
2.6K subs, but they have a bunch of stuff on this channel. I don't know. These guys, yeah. Oh, it's I'm in love with your dead grandmother. That was the game
That's
from
one.
2022.
That's the one. And go watch the trailer for that. Like it's stuck in my. I mean, not you guys. I mean, in the audience. Yeah,
Check
they're
that out,
doing
listeners.
something. Yeah.
All right, boys. Let's switch over to keep it up. The exact opposite of sorted out stuff we're pleased with in gaming. Who's killing it right now? Khayl, let's start with you again.
Oh, look again. I'm going to make another broad pandering play. Keep it up, games media.
Oh,
Just just hanging in there. It's not exactly a great time to be a games journalist or reporter. It never really has been, let's be honest, because the vast majority of us are, pretentious douches. And that's sort of,
yes.
we're people that pontificate about video games for a living. So I understand how hateable that is. Like, that's, of course. And then you throw in the, like, getting games early stuff. It's very easy to dislike.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the shift recently has been pretty heinous. I think specifically like the targeting of female journalists in the space is like so fucking out of pocket. Like again, I won't call out anyone specifically, but like yeah, there's just a lot of women getting heckled and hassled, and I know you guys have spoken about Alyssa McCante and like whether or not she's sort of I actually feel like she's sort of risen above this stuff. It's quite interesting. Like all these weirdo dudes are trying to take her down, and she just kind of dunks on them. Now, it just like really seems to have that's all. It's just hang in there, journalists. We got to survive. Do what we can. It's been grim for a while. We've been having YouTubers eating our lunch for a couple of years. Every time I turn on Sacred Symbols, Colin tells me I'll be out of a job next week. It's, just is what it is. But, yeah, I don't know. Hang in there, journalists. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right.
Yeah, there you go. Dusty, what about you?
Yeah. This was part of what I was talking about with Rollercoaster Tycoon earlier, but keep it up, modders, and I guess game preservers in a way, just because there's a lot of unsung heroes out there, modifying a 25-year-old game that people love so it plays on modern hardware, and no one knows who they are. They aren't making any money off of it, and they're working with a game that to my understanding is in a very difficult programming language, and keeping these things alive. And they're kind of like I said, unsung heroes in a lot of ways. And of course there's mod support for many other games too. Mods in particular have been a highlighted conversation right now with the Fallout 4 update breaking all the mods for PC and them not even really fixing any major bugs and adding shitty widescreen support that just stretches the HUD. So yeah, put some respect on the modders out there, put some respect on their name, take care of them. I wonder if with Open Rollercoaster Tycoon, I wonder if I can tip those dudes. Like if I can, I would send them like $20 on PayPal straight up, just because.
Yeah, man.
I was going to say, this is sort of a lucrative space. In Total War, there's this guy, Vance. Like, this is a whole Patreon thing now. Like, modders do really well in, like, these kind of dedicated communities. Like, yeah, I give some Total War modders money because they do better work than Creative Assembly a lot of the time. Just how it is. And quicker, too. Like, insanely quick.
Yeah, I'm looking at the OpenRCT website. No place to donate, no Patreon.
Damn.
Nothing. These guys are doing it for the love of the game.
Yeah, they just love it so much. Cool. That's awesome.
I appreciate it.
My keep it up this week is related to So I went to that Square Enix pop-up store. I really like when companies do stuff like this. They do stuff like this in Japan all the time, but we don't really get that so often. So I'm very happy and excited when we get something like that, like an official pop-up store. Square Enix, I know Atlas has done a few things around here every now and then, which is really cool. So I'm just happy more stuff like that is happening here, but we need more, damn it. So get on that. But keep it up. Keep going. You're doing well. All right. It's from AJ White. Hey, Summoners. I have a keep it up for Last Stand's hardest worker, Dustin Furman.
Whoa.
Not only does he work his tail off editing, producing, and running Punching Up, along with co-hosting Sacred Symbols, of course, but he also has rock solid game recommendations. Most recently being none other than Balatro. I'm so enamored by this game, and not only did I buy it on Switch, but I also bought it on PS5 and got my boss and a coworker hooked on it. Dustin, keep it up, and congratulations on calling Chris Dustin Furman. P.S. I'm becoming a first-time parent as well. My wife is due for our first baby in November. Hey,
Wow.
Congrats, AJ. That's sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's Colin Chris Dustin Furman, or I thought it was Chris Colin.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I said it wrong earlier. I threw out something. I don't know if it was.
I don't know. It's all nonsense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I don't remember.
I will second that though. I meant to say this earlier. When Brad and I were emailing, he actually gave me. He said, "Was there anyone you'd like to be on with?"
Mhm.
And I had to. First round pick was Dustin.
Yeah.
Of course it was the GOAT.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful to watch you, mate. It's you're sort of the audience insert in a way.
I'm the Jim Halpert.
It's sort of
Yeah.
yes.
Sacred.
It's good fun. I think you're doing some cool stuff. I just watched your the little clip, the stand down Kingdom Hearts fans on the ATV.
On ATV, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people
part
thought
two.
I was smoking a blunt on that, which it was just.
It was too.
It was a normal cigar, no marijuana
okay.
present, but just smoking a cigar with the boys on a Sunday.
You should have
Yeah,
named
right.
it like Stand Down Part 2 or something.
Stand down part 2. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad to hear, AJ, that you're into Balatro. I love that game, obviously. I took some shit for talking about that game, apparently too much.
Fuck them.
But dude, it's so funny. You talk about a game for 8 minutes on a show and answer 2 questions. People are like, "Oh, Dustin talked forever about it." I'm like, dude. Then followed by 25 minutes of Colin talking about Rebirth.
Yeah.
And the mini games. And it's like, what do you want? What do you want? It's it's okay though. It's fine. But I'm just happy that people were checked out the game and are into it, and the fact you got your boss and your coworker hooked on it.
Yeah, that's
I'm trying to
cool.
get my parents to play it. Once it's on iPhone,
It's over.
we have a family account set up. I'm buying it. I'm like, you guys got to download this. Check it out. So yeah, thank you, AJ, for that write-in. Very,
Spreading
very
the word.
nice of you. Very much appreciated.
Yeah. We always talk about behind the scenes how Dustin is. You would think Colin is the cornerstone. He is very much, but Dustin is very much also the cornerstone. If Dustin dies, we're fucked. We are toast.
So
Well, and
I can't
that's
wait for that maternity leave.
Yeah.
that's what I was about to bring up. I'm in the process of figuring out what that look like with me gone. Like what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to have to bring in some. I think Locke. We'll see. I'm talking to Locke. We're getting it figured out.
Great replacement. Hopefully he'll be available. He's busy, man.
Yeah, he's busy. We're figuring it out. But it's one of those things, and I'm not saying this like big dick energy, but it's like, oh shit, there are a lot of things that I do that we have to figure
That's what I'm
out.
saying, man.
Yeah,
You do a lot.
I do love that Lockmort. Just that little bit of European coming across, shot across the American bow.
Mhm.
It's you love to see it. Well, I love to see it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, we give Europeans a hard time. I don't listen.
Yeah, and I mean, so do we. So you should. Just the way it goes.
Yep.
Just the way it is, yeah. All right. This is from Steve Brooks. Keep it up, Sven Vinky. I don't know if that's how you say his name. Founder and CEO
I
of
say
Larian. Sven Vinky? And
yeah, it's like that WV sound that the Germans and the Dutch do.
Yeah, I can't
Fucking
do
Europeans, dude.
Yeah.
That's what we're
Fucking
saying.
Europeans.
Well,
dude.
that was a terrible timing for me to say that. Shout out Europe.
It's rare to see a developer of this size chase their passion rather than the dollar. Instead of making Baldur's Gate 3 DLC or Baldur's Gate 4, he made the decision to move on to 2 projects of their own IP and he really believes in, or that he really believes in. It's also nice to see how in the trenches he is with the development of their games. He seems to be a true man of the people, both of his employees and players. Both to his employees and players. Keep it up, Sven. I'm excited to see what Larian does next, Steve. Yeah, that guy seems awesome.
Yeah, he's a stone cold legend. One of my favorite articles I wrote last year was for the Game Awards. I was just sort of tracking it, but like if you don't know, he owns this really cool suit of armor, like plate mail, and he like gets it out and like wears it and shit. And obviously he wore it on stage, but I was watching him and like people on Twitter and they were like trying to determine it sort of got lost on the flight or like it was running late, the person that had the suit of armor. It was just a fun story. But then it gets into like they're just really cool guys. They seem totally switched on. I love shout out to Michael Dowse, their director of publishing. He's like, I guess, does the marketing, but he's like such a good Twitter follow. He just talks shit on everyone else in the industry. Just like, look, we did it. You guys are fucking up. And their whole thing is it's like they're independent.
Yeah.
Totally independent. Like, and they'll never sell. They'll never go on a subscription service. Brad, I heard you shout it out. Maybe it was last week. My favorite game and proudest platinum is Divinity Original Sin 2. Just incredible game. These guys have been doing such good work for years. So yeah, I'm really hoping they go back to Divinity, and I think the writer said that there's another project too that we don't know about.
Like 2 games or something. So
yeah,
they're cooking.
Yeah.
They don't need Baldur's Gate like the IP. They don't need it.
It was one of the biggest dick moves, I think, to just be like, yeah, we're done with Baldur's Gate now. We did that. Like, we topped Baldur's Gate 2, already one of the best games ever made. Like, yeah, it's pretty huge to just walk away. And already you can see Wizards of the Coast, like, they'll be madly interviewing for someone, and it's not going to be as good.
Definitely. Good luck, whoever's following that up. All right, this is from Robert Duvall. Hey guys, hope you're all having a wonderful day. I just want to give a keep it up to PSVR 2 developers that are still supporting the platform. I picked up the headset on sale during Christmas, and I've really enjoyed my time with it. RE4 VR is awesome, and Synapse is the most magical use of the eye tracking I've ever used. Unfortunately, since it's just been grim news around for support and future on the market. Around the end of March, a big update came to the Unity engine, allowing for dynamic foveated rendering using PSVR 2 eye tracking, and I've seen quite a few devs update their games with support for the feature. Along with that, we've gotten a few great releases this year, like Vertigo 2, Legendary Tales, and Cube VR, with Metro VR and some others later this year. At least the headset seems to be going out with some banging software from independent developers, much like Vita. Keep it up. P.S. It's baffling to me that there is no Half-Life 2 or just Half-Life Alyx on PSVR 2. Does anyone remember E3 2010 when Gabe Newell came out on stage during the PlayStation conference? He apologized for shit-talking the PS3, then announced Portal 2 for PS3 with PC crossplay for co-op, along with Steam keys included for every PS3 disc. Seems like they had a great partnership at one point. It would be awesome to see it rekindled. Need that Half-Life Platinum trophy. Yeah, Half-Life Alyx was awesome. Really cool game. Really awesome. It's very sad that it's not on PSVR 2. I don't know what's going on with them or anything, but that would be a killer game to get. Dustin, as an owner, how are you feeling about PSVR 2 right now?
Yeah, this is something that we sometimes take some flack for on Sacred, and I actually agree with it that we are often kind of ignoring the platform as a whole, but it's tough because it's both feels like Sony is kind of ignoring it. I mean, there is the Metro game coming out, but first party support is kind of MIA completely at the moment.
Dead on arrival.
Yeah, and the other thing is that it's just tough with the constant onslaught of games that are non-VR to find time to fit those games in and give them their proper due. Particularly, there are a bunch of games that I want to play on PSVR 2, specifically Legendary Tales was that like physics-based multiplayer game that looked really fun. I would like to play that at some point. Metro VR is one that I probably will buy and check out. But
you played 4 in VR, didn't you? Or a lot
yes,
of it?
I was like nearly at the end of the game, and I
Okay.
don't know why
That's a
something
lot,
came
though.
up. Yeah, so I
Played a
played
lot.
almost all the game
That's sick.
and it was awesome. It was
Yeah, man.
so good. I can't recommend that enough. But yeah, it feels bad that I don't know. Is the problem the VR market? Is the problem Sony? Probably. I'm thinking mostly Sony on this one.
Oh.
But I mean, the VR market is definitely very weird right now. I mean, surprisingly, Meta. I mean, the Quest 3 is supposed to be amazing. I have the Quest 2, and it's pretty good, but Quest 3 is supposed to be way better, and so it's tough because there's not necessarily. Not that there's not a lot of software. There clearly is. I mean, the write-in who was this here, Robert, mentions all these awesome games. So if you're willing to go outside of first and second party, there's going to be lots of stuff for you to check out. But yeah, it's just tough to figure out where it fits in for me, particular. But I got to get on that. I got to get back because it's funny. I feel like I've barely played PSVR 2. But I have played more PSVR 2 than Colin and Chris combined, which isn't saying much. But yeah, I would like to see more PSVR 2 representation across our shows.
Yep. Well, I don't have one, so I'll leave that to you boys.
Just $600.
I never.
Yeah, no problem.
I never invested either. It just seems like I don't know. The games weren't really there even when it was launching. They've been so weird about messaging. It's that flashbacks to the quiet before Vita was just sort of left for dead. Like, I don't know. I just don't have a lot of faith in them. They're like Google like that. Like, they put these things out, it's a little bit tepid, and then they just back away. Like, yeah. I'm that guy, though. I'm like, oh, I'll get the next version or something. Like, I'll get the third one or something.
Yeah, I mean, I had fun with it when I had one for a little bit. When I borrowed one from my old work, like GT7 was amazing in VR, and I played RE Village in VR, which was really fun. So there's like some cool stuff on there, but like you said, Dustin, there's also just so many other games too. It's hard to cover it all.
Yeah.
Maybe that Astrobot game will be like normal and also VR. Maybe they'll do something if their new game is an Astrobot game, which I think it will be. All right. Okay, this is from Khayl-san. Hello, gentlemen. I have a keep it up for Square Enix or any other company willing to deploy the Japanese concept of creating limited event shops or cafes for specific fandom in the Western markets. Hey, this is what I said. Although I will not be able to visit the pop-up store in this case, it helped to spread the good word that the company cares about their IP and fans. I am attending the Final Fantasy VII Orchestra this year, and is the first time I will be involved with something like this. It is so exciting. It is always a pleasure to bring topical, intriguing discussions to the show. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. It is very cool, Khayl-san, and I'm very happy. All right. Let's talk about Sea of Stars. I've been playing this again. I started this earlier the year, then I fell off just because of other stuff coming out. And after Rebirth, I decided to go back and finish this game. I haven't quite finished it yet, but I'm very far into the game. I'm like, I gotta be 4 hours left or something like that. That's what it feels like. I'm like almost at the home stretch. And it's really good. So if you guys are unfamiliar with this game, it's a RPG very inspired by classics like Chrono Trigger, the Super Nintendo era, stuff like that. This game is very inspired by Chrono Trigger, just like the attacks you do. You can do like a cross slash, like all that kind of stuff. So this is from, I forgot the studio's name, but they did The Messenger. tour sabotage game, something like that. I forgot their name. Sorry.
That sounds right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, you play as these two characters. You start off called Zale and Valerie. They are these characters that have the power to control like the sun and the moon. So the guy Zale, he has like sun powers, and the girl Valerie has moon powers. And what's cool about this is not only can you use it in like the world, being able to like move the sun around the to turn it into night or something like that for puzzles. Like there'll be like a little light thing shooting, like think of the Indiana Jones staff or whatever that he had in the first movie, the light shining through it. You could like rotate it around to get stuff to shoot light like that. But they also have skills in combat. Like Zale can like hold down a charge attack, shoot like a big fireball, and Valerie can use like a boomerang thing that's like a moon shape. But what's cool about it in combat is it also incorporates stuff from like Super Mario RPG, where button inputs matter. So if you if you push the like attack button at the right time, you'll do more damage. You maybe do like a double attack like that. And that includes for like defense also. Like if you do it right before you get hit, you could block some of the damage. So it's a little more interactive, I would say, combat than just traditional. Select it from a menu and that's it. So you got all that cool stuff. You also got combos you can do with everyone, which are like dual techs. You know, you get this combo meter that goes up in combat as you deal damage, and you can do like the cross slash. You can do like a heal to heal everyone. You can do like combining a fireball with a moon thing to bounce around boomerangs, which is really fun. And also, there's another meter you could fill up that eventually is for your character's ultimate abilities that you can use like probably like once or twice a battle. It's like their limit breaks almost, which are really fun shows. Like Zale's is like he like does like a giant like Frieza fireball essentially, almost like that, and launched it. Really cool stuff. The two main characters themselves are kind of the most boring characters in the game, I would say, who you start with. I would say the game starts pretty slow for a lot of things. And I could see people not really gelling with them. They do get more to them as the game goes on, but the biggest stars are kind of your side characters with you, particularly this one named Garl. He is like one of their friends. He's not like a super warrior or anything like they are. They're called Solstice Warriors. He's just some normal kid, but he loves cooking and all that stuff. So he fights with like cooking stuff. He like cooks stuff in battle and throws it. He heals them with food and all that kind of stuff. He's really jolly, really cool. You really want to root for him. He's awesome. There's this character you get later on called Saray. She's like an assassin, and her whole thing is she can like use portals to warp between different spots on the map. She like walk through a portal, backstab a guy, and walk through it again. And one of her time attacks is like she'll go through portals like up and down, like flying in the air, going from portal to portal, almost like the Portal video game. And if you're timing it right, she's throwing daggers each time she's going through it. She also has a really cool move where you can delay like an action of an enemy. Because like when the enemy is on the field, you could see how many turns until their turn. So you can try to interrupt that and use other attacks to interrupt that, which is really fun. The world is super beautiful, really colorful. The Pixar is gorgeous in this game. It's stunning to me how like the detail they got. You got like really nice beaches, clear crystal blue water. Then you got like very haunted like mansions and everything like that, ghosts and all that kind of stuff. And what I like about the game is there are dungeons in the game, but they're not super long, and they have like puzzles and stuff, but they're never to the point where you're like it kills the pace or anything like that. They're more like little brain teases, I would say. Move a few blocks here and stuff like that. Pretty simple stuff. And you also get stuff to help you traverse these environments. Like one thing you get is a grappling hook. So when you're going through an area, if there's like a wood post, you may have to grapple to get across like that, or climb something or swim down something. You can also use that grappling hook to initiate combat. You grapple someone, you can fly to them and get a hit on them and extra stuff like that. Later on in the game, there's also a village building segment where you collect blueprints and start building up this village you have. And that unlocks some perks. I haven't done all of them yet, but there's some stuff it seems worthwhile to do. But yeah, the story at the beginning is kind of slow, but I think it picks up really second half of the game. Gets way more interesting. The characters have a lot more depth to them. And I got like way more intrigued by what was going on. So I'm very much looking forward to finishing and see how everything's ending. And I think there's some extra content. There's like a secret ending or a true ending that everyone says is totally worth getting. So I'll definitely figure out all that stuff. But yeah, it's a really cool, solid RPG. I think if you're a fan of any of those retro style RPGs, if you liked Chained Echoes and stuff like that, if you like Chrono Trigger, you like the 16-bit RPGs, you will definitely dig Sea of Stars. I recommend it. It's cool as hell. I think it's on PS Plus Extra and Game Pass, or it was. It might still be on there, so if you're curious, you can check it out there. But I know there's a million RPGs out there right now, so do what you can, all right?
It is a really good one. I fell off it exactly the bit you mentioned where you get the assassin sort of character.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I fell off last year, and I'd like to get back to it too.
Yeah, I think it's a little slow at
up.
the beginning.
Yeah,
but it ramps. But yeah, it's a cool game.
Brad,
I'm digging.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I was going to say, how do you feel about this ending? I fell off it as well, much earlier than Khayl did, but I wonder how you feel about this idea that it's like, oh well, if you want the real good ending, you got to do all this other shit. That other games I've played have done this, and it's kind of annoying to me. It's just like, if you want to do some light bonus stuff, you know, for an extra ending, I'm cool with that. But if you make the true canon must-see ending behind, like, not your normal ending, I can find that super annoying.
Yeah, I guess it just depends, Dustin, what I have to do for it. I'm not exactly sure all the steps and how much of a pain in the ass it'll be. If it's something like fight these optional bosses, I'm going to be like, oh, sick, I want to do that kind of anyways. But if I got to collect like all these, like, you can collect these like rainbow conch shells or something in the game. If I got to collect all of those, I'll be kind of annoyed. But it's hard for me to say when I don't know the ending and all. I don't know I can't compare them really. But yeah, it's like, you know, Kingdom Hearts, we would do that kind of stuff. Depending on the difficulty, what you're playing on, you would have to do certain things to get those cool CG cutscenes.
Oh yeah, deep dive, right?
Yeah, man.
That was for Kingdom Hearts 1. And I guess that's true. I'm trying to think, like, those are very cool and very much worth seeing, but it doesn't feels like a bonus preview of what's to come.
What's to come, sure, yeah.
Not like, oh, you're leaving essential story details on the line, which, to be fair, I don't know this ending. I haven't seen it, so maybe it's not as bad, but I remember that being one of the main, like, a big complaint about this game.
Yeah, I'll see what I have to do, but I'm already this far, so I'll finish it.
Slightly related, Eiyuden Chronicle, the secret ending, I believe you've got to have all 120 characters recruited. And that seems a bit egregious to me. I think I had like 60 or 70 by the time. And this might be a lot more unpopular, but I kind of started falling off Nier Automata after it was like, do 2.5 to 3 playthroughs to get the true final secret ending kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of that's done better, I'll admit, because you
gotta do that.
That's right. You see different sides of the story. But yeah, I know you can't speak ill of Nier Automata or
not around me.
Not around us. No.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that's always funny about Nier is that I kind of the way that game is structured, I think, is one of the most off-putting things about it to a lot of people. And I totally get it. Like, I totally agree. I kind of wish it wasn't like that, because I think that when you do start the one playthrough again, you're like, oh shit, this is just the same thing over again. Which in Nier Replicant, it pretty much is just the same thing over. That one is totally egregious. But so, especially with Nier Automata, it feels like that initially, but it's like, no, I promise, it's not. It's different. I swear.
Man, that's funny. I'm due to replay that game again. I haven't played since it came out.
Let's do content. A Nier retrospective 2-episode thing.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Plus, let's make it happen.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, we can think about that. Yeah.
You guys have got to if I can just throw something out, get the Trails content.
Oh, Jesus!
Are you one of these annoying Trails fans that I've talked about? They're like, They're always, dude. When Colin was trying to explain, like briefly the timeline, everyone's like, "Well, actually, you gotta play this game first.
Well, look, sort of. I'll admit that my daughter's middle name is Estelle.
Oh,
so sort of. I guess you could say. I actually haven't played them all. And again, weird situation. When I went to Japan, I found Cold Steel 1. It hadn't been released in the West yet, and I bought it. And I feel like every Westerner does this. Like, I bought it and was like, I'm going to learn Japanese to play this game. And it's just not possible to do. So I brought it back on Vita. I have just this unplayable Japanese version of it. But that's how I started with the series and then went back. I think it's just the newest ones I got to catch up on now. But I'm right down that rabbit hole as well.
That's how you guys to do something, is for content, I guess. Like a special... I don't know.
Yeah. Maddie's the guy there. He's holding the Trails flag for.
Yeah, I don't feel as guilty because we have Maddie. So he covers it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's like I cover 14 for us. Like we got that covered.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, we got two fucking dorks on this podcast. We got both of you. Oh, 14. Brad's always like, Dustin, when are you going to play 14?
That's right.
Now's the time. Every few months, Brad messages me about 14. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, just sign up for that $15 a month membership.
I'll pay for it for you.
Brad, Brad, you ever need a buddy?
Yeah.
I'm a gun breaker.
Okay.
Just in case you.
A tank is good to
I'm
have.
not very good. Yeah, and I had to. I beat the first couple of campaigns, but again, that was another one where I was like, I had a normal job at that point. I was like, I can't be playing Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Dustin, we'll get you. What if you don't have to pay for it, Dustin?
Maybe
I'll say this.
Oh, good.
Oh, just boost the actual, like, the main story quest. And Brad, you might disagree. I feel like those first two. I feel like you could just
no, Dustin.
No,
you need the context.
No,
you're going through One Piece. You need the context.
Okay. All right.
You need the context, man.
That's fair.
We'll see. If the baby is super easy and just sleeps all the time, maybe that's
the game.
Maybe that's the opportunity when I'm on paternity leave.
I certainly retreated into a comfortable Total War campaign in the first few weeks.
Yeah.
Because you need something comforting, just something to escape. Because it's not so much even about the baby crying. It's that when the baby is asleep, now that's your chance to actually do housework and things. And
Right.
That's the true danger.
Hey, Dustin, remember I played Fallout 76 with you.
Yeah,
for a couple hours at least.
Couple hours.
You could play 2 hours of 14 with me.
This is a total aside. It needed to come up on the episode, though, Brad.
Okay.
You're watching Evangelion.
Yes.
Very good.
Only one episode so far, but yes.
Okay, that's a start. It's
the only thing I'm like watching. So
okay,
I'll watch one tonight.
Give me some updates along the way, as I do for you with One Piece. I haven't given you an update recently. It's been a little slow,
a little fillery.
Not bad.
Feeling. Yeah, that happens. That's what happens.
How do you guys keep up with it? Like, I had to tap out of anime. Like, as far as I was concerned, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was like the peak, and I kind of checked back in. I'm like, have we topped that, guys? And it still seems like that's, they just kind of knocked it apart.
I started One Piece in 2006, so a while ago.
Yeah, right.
So I had a long time. To get caught up.
Yeah,
but Dustin started pretty recently. Like, what was it, a year ago? Or is it more than a year now?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years. 2 years of watching One Piece. But no, as far as like there's been a lot of great anime that have come out since Full Metal Alchemist, which, don't get me wrong, I love Full Metal Alchemist, but there's great series that don't require a lifestyle like One Piece. Like, Attack on Titan is a great one. Highly recommend. Death Note was maybe around this. I'm trying to remember.
That's it. I'm caught up on that era, like Code Geass, all that stuff. Like, I was quite into it in the mid 2000s, but ever since, I'm still stuck in that. So musically, I am too. It's still the same emo bands from, the mid 2000s.
Oh yeah, dude, I am. I bought tickets to see Under Oath like a week ago for the 20-year
right
tour.
on.
So
Are you down with that Saddle Creek Records, Dustin?
Saddle Creek? I've never heard of this.
This is like Bright Eyes. It was a label. Conor Oberst, the Faint, my personal favorite band.
Oh yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, like in Australia, like the most romantic place in the world for us was Omaha, Nebraska, where Conor Oberst was from. Like that was cool to us. We thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, it's the emo revival, not revival, but the taking advantage of millennials that have money now to go and spend $50 to see Under Oath. You know, they're here, and I'm on them. It was $50 for they're only chasing safety tour. I was like, "Fuck, dude, that's just enough that I'll do it, and I did." But sorry, Brad, we got off totally derailed your
no. What the fuck were we talking about? I don't remember.
Was it Sea of Stars?
Oh yeah, Sea of Stars. Yeah, no, I was done with my thoughts. I was just gonna read comments.
Okay.
This is ND of the North. Greetings. With Summon Sign Spotlight on these two games of late, I just wanted to mention the composer of Chrono Trigger, Yasunori Matsuda, actually composed 10 tracks for Sea of Stars as well. Definitely adds to the game nostalgia in my opinion. What other modern throwbacks do you think would be interesting to see, especially if the original music composer could return? Thanks, crew. The soundtrack in Sea Stars is pretty strong. It's pretty strong. Other throwbacks.
Obviously, Uematsu is the GOAT, but he's still producing a little bit. I don't know. That is a tough one. That is a really tough one. There's not so many. I mean, obviously the Persona guy. Shigenori something.
Looking at Dustin.
I don't know.
We all draw a blank.
Dude, David Wise. Maybe a new Donkey Kong thing. He's the man.
I'm thinking. I'm blanking.
That's okay. No problems. We'll move on. This is from Odin's Donuts. Hello, assorted summoners. I backed Sea of Stars as soon as the Kickstarter went live based on my love for the Messenger, and it totally delivered. I got the true ending as well as the Platinum Trophy and thought the true ending was 100% worth the effort. How often do you guys go for the true ending, and do you have any examples of games that you felt it worth doing or where you thought it was a waste of time? Keep up the great work and keep those fingers furled for many episodes to come. Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So any true endings that are 100% worth it for us or not? Or a waste of time?
I think it's kind of tough to think on the spot.
Yeah.
Definitely the end of Tomba 2. If you 100% it, that you get the red or the black tuxedo that he wears at the end.
Yeah.
But if you have the memory card that has the save from Tomba 1, you can get beyond 100%. You unlock the red tuxedo. Does this change any story? No, it does nothing. But the red tuxedo, this was a legendary ending for me when I was a kid because we would see it at the end of the guide. We're like, dude, we got to get the red tuxedo ending. But
Link's Awakening spoilers right here, okay? Link's Awakening spoilers, so be careful. If you don't want to hear it, come back in like 30 seconds. I believe if you beat the game without dying, you collect something, you get an extra shot at the end where Marin is the seagull flying. You get like an extra little clip, I believe. So something extra.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a total blank on it. Like, I can't even think of the last game I sought out a secret ending in. Like, it might actually be Nier Automata or something. Like, even that, it's not even really secret. You just keep going. And
yeah, I guess waste of time. Dude, I scrubbed out on Nier Replicant's endings, getting all of those. I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I
had enough. I was like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
Brad, you were playing Silent Hill 2. Doesn't that have a bunch of endings?
Yeah, it does. Cool? Yeah, it does. I don't know how you got a lot of them. I got the Maria ending, I guess. So, But yeah, I think it's cool, that game. The dog ending, obviously legendary. I wish I got that one.
Yeah.
All right. This is from Nathan Densley. How is Sea of Stars? Last year was my year of going through many of the Final Fantasies. 9, 12, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jesus. So, I never made it to Sea of Stars, but I still gotta play 6. Tell me, which should I play first? Sea of Stars or Final Fantasy 6? You just play Final Fantasy 6 first. Keep the momentum going.
It's the best game.
Sounds
It's
like
really-
he ended
really
right
good.
before peak. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
people say I've never played 6. Sue me.
I have.
But
It's very, very good.
a lot
Play
of
it.
people say
Actually, that's not a bad one, Brad. I think there's a little secret ending in that one if you manage to save Shadow.
Right. That's
I believe
true.
you get a little final scene.
Yeah,
so
a little
there's,
extra bonus.
that's a game that has some cool stuff that rewards you. Yeah, 6 is the GOAT. If not 8, then 6 is the best one.
Oh boy. All right. This is from Ding Dog.
Oh, it gets much worse. Look, I'm
Oh, you got a
dude.
tattoo. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. I always wanted to get the little griever under there as
Yeah,
well,
man.
like the little lion head, but I just never got around
Do you
to
have
it. So,
a gun blade in your house anywhere?
I do.
Okay, cool. I feel like
I have like a
every
shitty wooden one.
huge Final Fantasy 8 fan has to have a gun blade somewhere. You got
I'll
to.
never forget going to like a convention here in Australia called Supernova, and it was just me in an elevator and this guy, and he's in the Squall cosplay. I'm just normal.
Yeah.
I can't do the cosplay. I'm just standing there, and it's really good. He's Squall, except he's just got this like unfortunate beer belly. You know, and you're just like, that's not the Squall I know.
Dude, Fat Squall's
Everything
awesome.
else is perfect. Yes. Good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, it's from Ding Dong. Hello, SS Crew. Hope you're all doing well. I wanted to ask Brad, how is he enjoying Sea of Stars? I'm a relatively new RPG player. I've only completed a few RPGs in my time. Examples being Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, Persona 5, and Sea of Stars, with both getting the platinum. I'm 33 and never could get into RPGs because I felt like I didn't understand the games and had bad experiences in the past when I was younger, and not understanding that I had to grind to do side quests. An example being playing FF7 or FF10 and getting crushed at bosses because I was underleveled. Currently, I'm playing Persona 4 Golden on Steam, which I'm not as into as 5. Sea of Stars is adorable and really made me fall in love with the game's art, style, and characters. The game can be really easy for people like me. It did become tedious with trophies, but that was on me. Thanks for all you guys do and have a great day. Yeah, totally coming around to some more RPGs. That's good. Love to hear that. I wonder what's next on your list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sea of Stars, the main thing that when remembering back to playing it was just that the way that they were able to do lighting in a pixel art game.
Yeah,
was
it
just
looks so good, man.
Awesome.
The game looks incredible.
Yeah, it truly is a beautiful game. I'd like to get back to it at some point, but
yeah, I don't know how you would feel about it, Dustin, honestly.
yeah, well, the funny thing I hear about this game all the time is that there's something about this game that people fall off of it like all the time. Like it's very regular. People are like, I was liking it, but I was just kind
I
of
did for sure.
getting bored. So
Yeah, I totally get that. I was feeling that kind of at a certain part too, but I just kept going through it and I was happy I did. Yeah, something about it. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say, Dustin. Yeah, and you're just play Chrono Trigger. You're already doing that. You're fine. All right, boys, let's end the show with some questions, thoughts, as we always do, from our listeners. Remember, if you want to send in a question to this show and our other shows, like Sacred Symbols, Defining Duke, Punching Up, head over to patreon.com/laststandmedia. All right. This first question is from Cormac. Hello, gentlemen. Brad, you have been mentioning Final Fantasy XIV a lot on the show lately. I suspect this has caught people's attention. Would you go into detail about it? What it entails? Can it be played solo? Is it approachable for new players? Thanks as always, Cormac. Okay, so Final Fantasy XIV, just a quick little pitch here, I guess. it is a MMO, but it is very much like you will play with other people in the game. You can play the vast majority of the game solo, though. The story content. This game has a lot of story. It is very much, it's an MMO, but it's very much a Final Fantasy game and its story and how it handles all that. Characters that go throughout the expansions. It's all connected, all that kind of stuff. So story is a huge part of this game. So if you're into that, that's cool. And you can do pretty much all of that by yourself if you wish. So I know some people get anxiety with playing with other players, but they've been doing a really good job where you can play with like bots for a lot of stuff if you want to now, which is nice, I guess.
Yeah.
As far as approachability, I don't know. Well, I'll say it's approachable in the sense of like access. You can play this on a console, which is cool. You can play on your PlayStation, you play on your Xbox. You can play it on a controller, and it plays very well on controller. In fact, my old coworker Michael Damiani
on control.
He plays on controller, and he does like the hardest end content in that game on a controller. So you could totally play it that way if you want. Now, in terms of an MMO, I don't know because maybe as someone who's brand new to MMOs, I have no idea because I've been playing MMOs for a long time. So it's harder for me to remember what it's like to not play an MMO. It might be overwhelming for you for some, but I think that's just the territory that comes with the genre. But it definitely kind of limits like what you can do at the start of the game. And it kind of just slowly opens things up to you as you progress through the game. Like when you start the game, there's only a certain amount of jobs you can pick from at the start of the game. And you have to unlock other ones as you progress through the game. So it limits you in that space. The dungeons it takes through, you don't do till like later on in the game. And they're very simple and much more easier to get through, not mechanics wise, just way cleaner. You can fuck around. It's not very punishing in that sense. Dying, no big deal. You don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. But yes, my recommendation with this game is always to please start with the Realm Reborn and just go through the order of release because all the story matters. Things come back from other events and you don't want to skip stuff. And like some characters show up and you're like, who the fuck's this? Because I skipped that. Because the story is such a big part of this game. So I would really like if you don't care about the story of this game, that's fine. But I think you'll be missing out a lot on the game, which makes it special.
It is a kind of a strange game to play if you don't care about the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you're missing
that was
a huge
the draw
part of
for
the game.
me. And I played the first couple of expansions through. It was just that when the Gunbreaker came out, I think I was like, all right, I just need to get to this right now.
Yeah.
I will say I find the quality of the writing in A Realm Reborn specifically, like it's such a jump to Heavensward.
Yeah.
Like it really feels like they hit some new shit when you get that. But like, and that's the thing, you're like, just play the 70 hours it takes you to beat A Realm Reborn to get to that.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, you know.
You'll need that context. Realm Reborn is the worst part of it, but I would say that context is important for the world.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Everything just gets better. Like expansions as they go on, it's just like the quality is insane how good it is. Like the writing in these. It's crazy.
No, I'll say as well, like as someone that played through the leveling process and then decided to just level up a new character, I've never been more overwhelmed in my life. Like the hotbar that you get as like a level 70 Gunbreaker, like
oh yeah,
absolutely overwhelming.
Like because you hopped into Gunbreaker right away, right?
Yeah, I'd played like Samurai and, you know, I was a Dragoon through the whole leveling thing. So, and yeah, that was the other thing. It was like, now you're a tank.
Yeah.
Talk about the pressure. Like if you go into a dungeon, I think that's the interesting thing about the culture of this game too, is like if you're the tank, it's assumed you know the dungeon and you know where to go.
You're the lead, yeah.
Yeah, that's like that. I felt that pressure for sure.
Yeah.
It's like suddenly everyone's looking at you and you're like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. If you're fine with that, that's cool. I think that's cool that people start as tanks as their first job because everyone's super friendly in the game and people are patient. But if you're nervous about that kind of stuff, I would just say, hey, just pick like a DPS class, a damage class, where you don't have to worry about. You just have to worry about yourself mostly. You don't have to worry about like the whole group.
And I don't know what it's like anymore, but the find a group times, you also have to worry about that.
Yeah,
that was part of the reason I wanted to be
if you're a damage dealer, that's one of the trade-offs is your queue times are longer. But you can do a lot of stuff, like mandatory story stuff you can do with bots a lot of times now, so you don't have to wait in queues if you want.
I remember they were just talking about that when I was playing. Like that was 4 or 5 years ago now.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're just adding more of that as the game goes on. But yeah, there's like a free trial too, if you're curious about it. It's a very lengthy free trial. There's like no limit on game time. And it's like 2 or 3 expansions, I think. You don't get...
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, you don't get like all the features like talking with guilds, or like joining a guild. You can't do stuff like that. There's some limitations. But if you want to get a taste of it, you can try it out for free.
Yeah.
All right. How many times did Dustin roll his eyes during that is what I want to know.
I'm listening. I just, yeah, I don't know. Dude, you bring it always comes back to like, oh yeah, just play the 70 hours. That kind of sucks.
They don't suck. I don't think they suck. I just think it's the worst part.
That makes sense.
It's like a 70-hour intro. Does that sound better? It's sort of introducing you to dungeons and the factions in the world and the characters, and you know, you're leveling, like, you know, getting your character to level and learning your like combat rotation. It's giving you plenty of opportunity
it's like
to
world
learn
building,
that.
a lot of it, like setting up the world and all that stuff.
Right. We'll see. Some point.
We'll see. All right. This is from Kazdan Risk. Hey, sweet dripping summonussies. Jesus. Or sweat dripping, even worse. This question is for Dustin. Have you tried Fortnite Festival now that they've added controller support for guitar controllers? I think right now it's only certain Rock Band controllers, but the tracks now have the colored buttons and everything. Interested to hear your thoughts on this edition, and if Fortnite can be the true Guitar Hero / Rock Band successor, take care.
Yeah, I saw this was a thing, as they have that new PDP controller out that works with it. Yeah, so I tried Fortnite Festival when it first came out, and the thing is, I would try it with a guitar controller, but I don't own any that are compatible with PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. So I have no way of trying it. And honestly, I don't want to say I don't want to, but my Rock Band setup is all on Xbox 360. I have all the instruments there. I have custom songs there. So not only if I moved to a newer platform for Rock Band 4, I would lose all of my custom songs, and I would also need to reinvest in all of the instruments, which would be very pricey.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I'm not rushing to do that anytime soon. You asked if Fortnite could become the true Guitar Hero and Rock Band successor. Maybe, but they have a lot of work to do. I don't know if they've changed this since I played it last, but when I played, there was no local play, and that's the key experience for a Rock Band successor for me, in that it's got to be local, because I get it. People play games online primarily, but I have no interest in playing a Rock Band style game online with people. Like, that doesn't sound
that's whack
appealing to me at all. It's all about having the party, playing with your friends, staying up too late, blasting it as loud as possible. That's the core. I mean, dude, now that I have my setup downstairs, like every few months when I have people over, we're playing Rock Band, and that's the intended way. So
it's the best.
Yeah,
I remember when like Guitar Hero was at its height here. Me and all like my brother and friends were all guitarists, and like we loved it. Just got so into it, and it was our favorite thing on the weekend. We'd just get blackout drunk on like whiskey, and we had this leather jacket, and when it was your turn, you put on the jacket and you just had to absolutely go for it. But I kind of hope it comes back. I don't know if you remember, Dustin, you actually sent me a news tip about this when this all kicked off. Yeah, I've sort of been covering it ever since. Like, like all the new PDP stuff, and that I really like that new guitar because it's got the like the high notes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like for the solo stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, that was on the original Rock Band controllers as well. So they brought that back. Yeah. And the Guitar Hero ones didn't have that. So
I think I was just a Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened. It's but all of that is to say, I kind of feel like I need to understand what Fortnite Festival is a little more.
Like, I just wrote about how Billie Eilish is in it and how she's like all these songs and stuff. And, I've watched gameplay and stuff, but it's a fascinating thing because it could be a money printer for Epic. If they figure it out, they could just license this shit forever and sell song packs just the way Rock Band did. And
right.
Yeah.
The way they do it is cool because basically there are songs, at least it was when I played it at launch, there were songs on rotation that if you were there when it was one of the rotation songs, you could play it for free. Like you didn't need to buy access to the track. But if you wanted to keep that song playable forever, you had to buy the track, which then you could use different parts of the song while playing Fortnite. So there's this whole thing where you would buy Buddy Holly and you could wheeze on him, go up and start playing just like the acapella voice track of Buddy Holly after you kill someone in Fortnite, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Oh, God.
All right. This is from Embers Arcade. Hey, some dumpsters. Or some dumpsters. Whoa. This could be a warm-up question. But we're not going to use a warm-up question. Are you ever conscious of what your face looks like when you play video games? I remember my mother taking a picture of me on Christmas Day after buying me a new GameCube with Wind Waker. Nice. While I had a great time, I looked at the picture after she printed it and at Rite Aid, remember the 1 hour photos? And I was shocked at my expression. Slack jaw, mouth agape, expressionless eyes. I looked like a dead fish. Ever since then, I've made it a point to keep my jaw set and my expression firm when I play video games. Am I crazy for caring about this? Do any of you think about your game face? Cheers, gentlemen. No, I don't think about my game face, but
I do because my wife calls it out every time she walks in the room. Like if I'm deeply focused, I just sort of am frowning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And like, so if it's like a Souls-like or something and I'm in it, it's just sort of like just a concerned frown. And she always is like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm happy. This is me being happy, right?
Yeah, just focused.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. I've never been told anything about a game face, but when I was streaming, I guess if I had like a bad face, like it would know, because that's like people were watching me play through all the Dark Souls games. That would have been like prime screenshot material for people. But I do know, we were just talking about Rock Band. I know I have a drum face, and that's like a very common thing for drummers.
I was going to ask you about guitar face.
Like had like this, like, weird face. I can't do it. Like I can't replicate it. But when I play drums, it happens. So that's a thing that would happen to me. But yeah, I don't know if I have I don't know if I've ever been there with my mouth wide open.
Yeah, I don't play anything like just like playing a game. Some people do, but thankfully I don't have to worry about that. I'm more like you, Khayl. I just look very like maybe mean.
Engaged.
I guess people think I look mean all the time though. So it's probably just that.
The one I'll never forget, there was like a Sega Genesis game called California Games. Do you ever remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's like the surfing mini game. My dad's a surfer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget him playing that as a kid and like him doing the, like turning the controller with it. Like I think of that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, yeah, that's really in it when you're trying to get some extra rotation out of the controller itself.
Yeah, that's so good.
Mm.
All right. This is from Nevitz. Good day, summoners. I've been playing through Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection for the first time. I was wondering, what is a collection of games that you wish existed? I love a collection that was exclusively games made by a treasure. Gunstar Heroes is amazing, and I like to play more of their portfolio. Keep it up, everyone. I've been asking this for years. I want Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, the original trilogy, in a collection. Please, guys, I'm begging you. What are you doing? For God's sakes. Just the original PS1 versions.
Should happen. I mean, there's so many. Like, I have mine, which is the Baldur's Gate Enhanced Pack.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, redone for consoles. It's crazy there is no Final Fantasy PS1 trilogy. Like, surely that could all be, you do, there's the Final Fantasy 8 remaster.
Yeah, they keep those separate.
One of those for
Yeah, you do a quick one of those for 9, package that as a trilogy. Like,
But at
that seems
least
to
you
make a lot
could
of
buy
sense.
those. You can't really buy
Yeah, that's true.
Resident Evil on modern platforms, at least.
Mm.
Yeah.
Dude, come on, guys.
I think wouldn't it be awesome if there was a collection of
Of
all the Metal
Tomba?
Gear Solid games and they ran at 4K 60 and great performance
And controlled modernly.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty cool.
that'd be awesome. But we talked about Silent Hill a few minutes ago. I know there was the Silent Hill HD collection, but that's not what we want. We want and both Konami, dude, Konami taking the heat. They deserve it because
they deserve it.
Well, I heard the Metal Gear Solid collection has improved, but it's still not really ideal. But yeah, a Silent Hill collection of 1, 2, 3, 4. Even I don't know if people like 4, but even just 1, 2, and 3. That would be
the trilogy.
Awesome to do. But
to be fair, Konami did good with the Castlevania collections. Those are good.
True.
Those are good. So good job there, Konami, I guess.
Quick aside, how are you guys feeling about this Silent Hill 2 remake?
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, there was a story just this week I was doing, and the Bloober team has given some strange quotes.
Yes.
One of them, like, I didn't include it in the article because I kind of feel like maybe it was something lost in translation. They're Polish, I believe. But they said something like, I should have the direct quote here, but it was something along the lines of, oh yeah, and by the way, Silent Hill 2 Remake will be the first time we depart from environmental storytelling, and the storytelling will be put on focus, like be focused on the action. Right?
Yeah.
And you're like, you hear that and you go, wait. Sorry, what? What was that about environmental storytelling?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
again,
just something to watch. Just the way they said that, and then in the reaction to the action-heavy trailer that they then blamed on Konami, and it was this whole public thing.
It's been weird.
I'm getting a little concerned myself, and that's the only Silent Hill I've ever played, so I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah. We'll see, I guess. Jeez. All right. Final question from Fozzie Bear. Hello, Bloodborne Brad, Dark Souls Dustin, and Kingsfield Khayl. I'm writing in to follow up on the video game musical discussion from last week. Tangentially related, but I gotta shout out the booming video game live orchestra tours. Square Enix in particular has been killing it with the tours for Final Fantasy VII Remake and Distant Worlds, which covers music from all of the Final Fantasy games. The Nier Orchestra Concert Tour just added new dates. The Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Tour kicks off later this year. Now to my question. What would be your dream video game live orchestra concert? Stay sussy, Fozzie. Well, they're already doing mine, so mines were sevens, Final Fantasy 7 stuff, so that's over.
Yeah.
Now I have no more dreams.
I actually saw the Kingdom Hearts show at the Sydney Opera House, which was pretty awesome.
That's cool.
Even not as like a especially Kingdom Hearts fan, the music is outrageously good. And I also got to see like the Breath of the Wild Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, nice.
That was really cool down in Melbourne. But yeah, I'd love to see, Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
Like that in concert would be pretty awesome. There's a lot of bangers on there. Laguna's theme, Balaam Garden, of course. Breezy, my morning alarm every morning.
Yeah, 8 has a great soundtrack. Shit, I was about to say something to you, Dustin, but I forgot.
I have tickets to see the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth one in Ohio. I think that's next year even. It might be in January. So I'll be waiting a while to go to that. And I have tickets to see this Nier one as well in later this year. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. I'm excited to go to both of those. I've been to the Kingdom Hearts one before in Pittsburgh, and that was awesome. So as far as those two, between those three, those are like three really, really big ones. The only other one I can think of off the top of my head, or I guess two off the top of my head, is that a Persona live music
that's
tour.
what I was going to ask you about.
They do the events in Japan, which you can see them on YouTube, and they look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that if they did like LA, New York, I would fly. I would go wherever.
Yeah.
I would go wherever, spend whatever to go to the Persona tour in the US. That would be amazing. The other one, which would be a little easier for them to do, is a Halo one. That would be super sick too. Some of the dude, like the music for, I mean, really Halo 1, 2, and 3, all and add in some ODST in there, man. That would be sick. But this isn't gaming. I'm crestfallen, as Colin would say, because they're doing the One Piece Music Symphony tour. Yeah. And the day that it's coming closest to me, which is DC area, is July 13th. The baby's due date is the 31st. And
yeah, right. That's cutting it close.
It's cutting it close. And I guess I could go by myself, but Holly is my One Piece partner. She's been with it with me this whole time. I can't go without her.
Yeah.
I can't leave my 9-month pregnant wife at home to see One Piece Orchestra. So
you'll never live it down, I promise you. You'll never live it down.
That'd be a baller move, dude.
Sorry. I'm like, dude, I'm like at the concert. She's like, my water broke. I'm like, they just started playing We Are. I can't leave right now.
I can't leave. Sorry.
Again,
sorry, honey.
Talk about different experiences, Dustin. I can't even imagine the stress of that. Like we did IVF. We had a pre-planned cesarean.
Oh
yeah. So when my baby was born, it was like we were there at 8:30 in the morning. We were the first one. Everyone's had their coffee. They're in a great mood, and we were out in 20 minutes.
Wow.
You know, like they just go boom, boom, and you're like in the room, and everyone was in such a good mood. And like normally, if you're not having a planned cesarean, it's kind of an emergency situation. Like,
right.
People aren't hanging out. It's not a calm situation, but get those doctors involved. Take the mystery of life out of it. Let's just get these babies out as soon as possible.
That definitely sounds appealing in some ways. I know Holly is hoping, like, she's almost like, yeah, if I don't need pain medicine, I'm not going to do it. I'm like, whoa, she's hardcore. She's not afraid. So,
yeah. That's, again, this is just like an Australian thing. Like my older brother lives in New York. His wife's American. They had a baby in New York, and they had a situation, like this is the horror stories we tell in Australia. They had a situation where like she said the same thing, didn't want the epidural. Then she's like, no, I do want it. And so suddenly he's on the phone to like his insurance company being like, can we afford to give my wife this pain medication? And they're like, yes, but it'll cost you like $8,000. And so my brother in this situation is like, how much pain are you in? Like trying to like, do you really need this $8,000? They did it. They bought it.
Dang.
Yeah. So look, more power to you, but yeah, you got to have that epidural.
Get that check.
I mean, like where I live,
book out, Dustin.
Yeah, like where I live, no one wants everyone wants home births, all natural. Like they all try it at home because it's like just sort of that's how people are around here, and they all end up at the hospital.
I'm glad Holly's. I mean, the hospital is not that far, and we've been having a good experience with the midwives and stuff there. But the home birth thing, that scares me. I would never.
Yeah,
I would talk her out of that. I think if she wanted to do that.
There's so much that can go wrong with that situation. It's but it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be great. Yeah. It's gonna be awesome.
It really is. It really is.
All right, yeah.
So yeah, jury's still out. I don't know. Maybe I'll ditch Holly to go to the One Piece World Tour.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see how she's feeling. You know, be like, babe, sorry, but the seas are calling.
Yeah. The seas are calling, dude.
The seas are calling.
All right, boys, that's going to do it for this episode. We are all done. Dustin, thanks for joining me. Love having you on as always.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to be here, Brad. We haven't played any games
in
a bit. Brandon was trying to convince me Well, he actually wasn't trying to convince me. He was just talking so highly that I was thinking about it. He's playing Counter-Strike. In fact, he's playing Counter-Strike as we speak. And I was like, do we want to get sweaty with the boys?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to get yelled at in Russian right now. So I'll think about it, though.
How many people are on a team?
Never.
We could just get our own team.
Yeah, that's true. If we had our own team, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many people it is. 6? I think it depends on the server.
Yeah, I'm scared.
Alright.
I'm very scared of
I
playing.
haven't played Counter-Strike in forever. Is he playing 2?
Yeah, he's playing 2. I think 1 doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
Or Counter-Strike Go. Maybe the original you can still play.
I can't remember.
But
okay. I mean, I guess we could saddle up. We might as well play Valorant while we're at it too.
ugh.
Get
It
it?
has it's weeb Counter-Strike.
I don't know. Something about Valorant seems
We've
kind of
adjacent-
stinky.
we've-
I don't know.
Man, when Dustin's turned down anything anime style, you know it must be stinky, dude.
Yeah,
Jesus.
it just seems a little
I
stinky.
played it a little bit when it came out. It was cool, but I don't know. I was good.
I missed that one entirely, I think.
Yeah. I just remember it was a very long for like rounds and stuff. I was like, oh, jeez, it's still fucking going? But, yeah. Khayl, thank you for joining us also. Before you go, man.
Thank you very much.
Where can the people find you? All that good stuff.
I mean, if you want to, you can find me on Twitter. It's at Khayl Adam, just as it's spelt. You know, it's just Australian memes.
Good.
Just weird rants and things. But I mean, absolutely, come on over to pushsquare.com. Let's not say premier. We'll just say one of the most premier outlets or, you know, companies covering PlayStation. I'd hate to step on sacred symbols. You know, we have a lot of crossover here. But yeah, no, go check out the sites. It's good stuff. We do good work over there. I think we work really hard. We're trying to fight the bots, and you know, I don't know. It's funny. Like again, mentioned it offhand. Like people think games media is dead. I'm getting more work than ever, guys.
There you go.
Opportunities all over the place. It's yeah, onwards and upwards. I say, return to the websites. Let's go.
Cool. That's it. Any final words, Dustin, or should we get the hell out of here?
Dude, I'm so hungry right now.
right,
Holly's been cooking. I've been smelling it. I'm like, I'm dying here. Not that
All
I
right.
wasn't having a good time, but I'm also very.
Oh yeah. When the hunger calls, you gotta go. All right. Thanks for watching. We will see you all.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll see you all next episode. Take care, everybody. Goodbye. Summon Sign is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and hosted by me, Brad Ellis. The show is produced by Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Summon Sign, along with the rest of Last Stand's media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we are grateful for your kind contribution and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.